greatest story ever told.
Presented by the United States Armed Forces Radio Service.
Tonight we present And Her Name Was Mary, the first of 5 Christmas season dramas about the birth of that child who was to live the greatest life ever lived. Galilee, north of Jerusalem by some 50 miles. And in Galilee, Nazareth, a small town, little different from other towns in that country, which suffered under the Roman tyranny. And in Nazareth lived a carpenter, a good man, kindly, an honest craftsman, yet more, for he was descended of kings. In his veins flowed the blood of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. A prince of the house of David he was. And though destined to play a great role in the dramatic events of Bethlehem, he was unmindful of it as he worked one day in his carpenter shop.
There, the traveling box is finished. Strong, workmanlike. I hope Samuel is pleased with it.
Why shouldn't Samuel be pleased with it?
Samuel, you surprised me while I was talking to myself. A habit one develops from living alone so long.
Is that the box? Good. Sturdy. Able to take the hard service, I'll put it to.
Samuel, you're planning a long journey.
I may never come back.
You mean I'll never see you again? And we've been friends so long.
We could go on being friends, and even fellow soldiers in a good fight. A hard fight.
You know how I feel about force, Samuel.
And I think you're wrong. Joseph, why don't you join the resistance with me? There's so much to do. So tough a fight ahead will need every man. Don't you see, Joseph, Herod must go if Israel's to have any peace.
It's not for me, Samuel. I don't believe in force.
Maybe because you don't know. Tucked away in your carpenter shop in Galilee all the time, you hear little of what's going on in the outside world. If you'd come to Judea with me, if you'd see what goes on there. No, Joseph, we're not alone in this. There are a great many of us. You couldn't find one of us by day who doesn't seem to be just an ordinary worker or servant. But at night, it's different. At night, we meet in secret in the hills of Judea. And there are many of us. We work by dark, in caves, underground. But we have strength.
And if you match strength with Herod, only bloodshed can result.
Maybe you talk that way because you don't know. Don't know what's really going on.
I think I've heard my share about Herod and his tyranny.
Herod, an Edomite, an outsider set by the Romans to rule over Israel. What have we come to, Joseph? Doesn't that in itself make you want to fight?
The thought is bitter. But bloodshed isn't the way, Samuel.
What if I could prove to you that it is?
I don't think you can.
When you hear this, you'll change your mind. This is secret, Joseph. Men have died to get this information for us.
You know you can trust me.
Of course. The resistance has its sources of information all over, even in Herod's palace. Nothing Herod does is secret from us. And the cruelty of the man knows no bounds. Let me tell you what happened. And when you hear it, even you must realize that peaceful ways are not the answer. This Herod is a monster. And it wasn't long ago that he was talking to Asa, his prime minister, about a matter very important to us all.
They complained, Asa, did they?
Yes, Majesty. Herod, this time we may be coming too close to rebellion.
Don't whisper it to me as though it were a secret.
Well, I'm sorry, Majesty. I only thought...
I do the thinking, Asa. The people groan about the taxes. We must do something. Isn't that right, Asa?
If you would, it would make my job easier.
Then we'll do it. We'll raise the taxes.
Raise them, but I told you...
Very simple, Asa. If people think the taxes are too high now, we'll show them they can be even higher. We'll break them. That's what we'll do. Break them.
Majesty, I must ask you to clear the court. I have something important to say. No one else must hear.
What?
Please, Majesty, not before the others, for your sake.
The way you cringe, Asa. All right. I'll clear the court. Clear the court! Everyone! Everyone leave! Now, Asa, we're alone. What's the secret? Word from Rome?
No, Herod.
Well, what is it?
Herod, you know there are those among the Israelites who fight us.
And that's your secret?
No, of course not, Majesty, but joining them are others who are not Jews. Some of your own people are with them.
And that's no secret either.
Well, Herod, don't become enraged. Hear me out. Say nothing, do nothing before you hear all I have to say.
Stop trembling and speak up.
One man has thrown his lot in with the Jews. He's an important man. A prince.
I'm king. The prince would have to be my own son.
You just said what I tried to tell you.
Asa.
Please, Majesty.
Asa, are you telling me that my own son Aristobulus has put his lot in with the rebels? That's a lie.
Would I suggest such a thing if I didn't have proof?
What proof?
We captured a rebel. We questioned him. How much of that can a man endure? He talked. He told us. Yes, and he's popular with the people. Maybe because they know.
You miserable, conniving wretch. You're lying to me.
Majesty, please, would I lie about such a thing and expect to live?
I presume you have proof?
More than enough.
Asa, send my son to me.
Father, you sent for me?
Yes, Aristobulus. I have news. Upsetting news.
Bad news has a way of coming to this palace.
And what does that mean, son?
The news you spoke of, what is it?
A band of rebels attacked one of my strongholds. We captured one of them. And under persuasion, he gave us certain information. Valuable information. If it didn't appear so ridiculous.
He talked.
He talked indeed. He said you were one of them.
Oh?
Is it true?
Yes, it's true.
Treason against your king is bad enough. Treason against your father.
Treason and tyranny have a way of going together, Father.
I'll take no reproaches from you. You talk like the fool that you are. And I've permitted you to have your own way long enough. You've got to realize your responsibilities. You're heir to my throne.
It may not be as much of a legacy as you think, Father.
What does that mean?
You're giving away something you don't have. Rome has lent you this kingdom, and Rome can take it away.
I'll take care of Rome.
And who'll take care of the people? For they can take your throne away, too.
I refuse to listen to such talk any longer.
A truth is a truth whether men listen to it or not.
Now you listen to me. Rome is powerful. Rome rules the world. No one dares stand against them. I'm trying to keep you from making some foolish mistake that might cost you your life.
And what good is my life if I can't risk it for a cause in which I believe?
You call that a cause? To protect the Jews against Rome? Are they your people? Why take risks for them?
Any people is my people. And its troubles are mine.
Aristobulus, I order you to discontinue your treacherous actions. Look, son, you can travel, visit foreign lands, even Rome itself. Do anything you please, but stay out of trouble.
The life of royal exile doesn't appeal to me. I must go on doing what I've been doing. Even though it means your death or mine.
I command you to be quiet.
You may have quiet by crying out commands to your servants, but you can't command the people to be quiet. And when your conscience cries out, command that to be quiet, too.
Conscience. You are a boy, aren't you?
And you, Father, are a poor, miserable shadow of a man.
You shouldn't have said that. Now, get out! And think over what I've said.
Your Majesty has spoken to your son?
Yes, Vista.
Does he admit his guilt?
Admit it. He boasts of it.
A young, impetuous prince. He could cause trouble. A great deal of trouble.
I know.
And the way gossip travels these days in Israel, it might become known.
You mean that Herod is weak? He refuses to punish his own son.
It could be said.
It could be said. It will be said.
In Rome, too, perhaps?
You're very clever, Asa. You know my every thought.
And you know the Romans, Majesty. They'd be the first to say that Herod is a weakling. The strong warrior of old now can't even manage his own son. How can he manage Judea?
I know.
Well, I was only exploring the possibilities. We must look ahead.
I'm looking ahead, too, Asa. This is something I can't risk. Asa?
Of course, Majesty. There's no other way.
You think so, too?
It will remove the greatest obstacle you have. But it must be done subtly.
It will. I have an idea.
An idea?
We must give a party, Asa. His Majesty invites a few well-chosen friends to a party in honor of his son.
In honor of his son? I don't understand.
You said it would have to be done subtly. It will. Now, arrange the party. It must take place out in the garden, near the pool.
Yes, Majesty.
And all this, my son, is to show you that I don't harbor any grudges against you.
You mean...
I mean that your father is not the tyrant you think he is. He respects your opinion and the strength with which you voice it. Although back in his mind, the old warrior feels he's stronger than you are.
They say you're still one of the strongest of men.
They say I am. And if you don't believe that, let me show you. Stand up, son.
But why?
I'll show you how strong I am. Some hand wrestling.
Please, Father, at a party?
I feel I've been challenged. I can't refuse. My friends, a little sport to begin the evening. My son has challenged me to the hand wrestle, and I have accepted. Now then, clear a space. Come on, son, out here. Take your stand.
Father, please, you're too old.
Too old? That's exactly what I'm going to prove I'm not. Hold out your hand. Come now.
All right, Father.
Now we clasp hands and start.
The prince is strong. Look, the prince is budget. He recovered nicely, didn't he? Look there, the king is giving way.
You did it, son. You did it. I didn't know you were that strong.
You're all right, Father. I didn't hurt you.
Hurt me? Just because I'm perspiring a little? You don't know your own father.
But the exertion...
Nothing that a cold plunge into the pool won't remedy. And then each man shall retire to his room where servants are waiting to rub them down with fine oil and freshen them with rare perfume. Then the banquet itself.
Of course, Father. Exactly what I need.
Good. Into the pool, then. And everyone, come, join us.
Vista.
Yes, Majesty.
The room is ready.
I've appointed the man myself. A big man with large, muscular hands.
My son's no weakling.
The man I picked will do the job. Once Aristobulus goes into that room, once he lies down on the couch, he's as good as dead.
Everything is ready, then.
Come, Aristobulus. Time to be anointed and perfumed. Come.
Shall I lead him into the room?
Yes. And the strangler had better do his job well.
There, Joseph. That's the story of the tyrant Herod. The kind of man he is. Murderer of his own son. Doesn't that make you want to go to Judea and help us fight against the man?
It's unbelievable.
I could tell you more, too. But that should be enough. Well, Joseph, will you join with us? We could use a strong man like you. A man with skill.
His own son?
Yes. The son is dead. One of the servants who was there is a member of my own band. He swears to every word of it. Well, what do you say?
We must have faith, Samuel.
Is that all you have to say? Well, I'm through with bowing down to an alien king placed over Judea by the Romans.
Are you through with faith, too, Samuel?
Faith? Yes, I'm through with faith. Can faith shield you from the tyrant's sword? Tell that to the dead of Israel whom the Romans have killed. No, extravagant, cruel, despotic Herod lives on Israel's blood. And you want me to have faith.
Our people have come through other evils before. We'll outlive this one, too.
Don't be too sure. Just because Herod doesn't rule in Galilee yet doesn't mean he won't reach out for power here, too. After all, Judea, Galilee, they're both part of Israel. No, Joseph. We have a choice between two faiths. Revolution or destruction.
It would seem that the time must come soon.
The time to fight? It's here already.
I didn't mean that.
What other time can be so important?
The time for the third way. Neither destruction nor revolution. He was promised when the hour was darkest.
He? Whom do you mean?
The Messiah.
Messiah?
Yes. Samuel, you're forgetting God's place in all this. The same Jehovah who led our people through the desert with a cloud by day and a pillar of fire by night. If times are difficult, we must never forget that the same Jehovah has promised that the Messiah will come and deliver Israel.
For too long we've been promised a Messiah, and he's never come. We must fight now, Joseph. Don't you see? No other way can prevail against the planned and calculated tyranny of the Romans. Herod must be driven from Israel, and fighting is the only way to do it.
And fighting is bloodshed, killing. No.
Joseph, somehow freedom is such that human blood must always be part of it. And as long as blood must flow, let it be the tyrant's blood, Herod's blood. Join us, Joseph.
I know I'm just a plain man, a carpenter. I know little of these things. But my way is the way of peace and faith. I have faith it will happen. The Messiah will come.
When? How? Answer me that.
How? The prophet Isaiah tells us. He shall be born of a virgin, and shall not be the son of any man, but of God. When? I should have to be gifted with the divine knowledge of a prophet to know that. But I'm content to wait.
And some of us aren't. We know what the answer should be. But it's not the Messiah. Can he help throw off the yoke of the Romans or of Herod?
If you mean, is the Messiah to come to us as a general leading great armies? No, I don't think so.
Then what chance will he stand against Herod? Herod would think no more of destroying your Messiah than he did of killing his own son. Anything that stands between Herod and his throne must die. And that goes for Messiahs, too.
That's no way to talk, Samuel.
I'm sorry, Joseph. I know how dear the belief is to you.
To all Israel.
Not to all Israel. But some of us have decided on action. This prediction of the prophets that a Messiah will come. It could be a mere legend handed down, a tale born in time of stress and brought to light to keep up hope in other times of trouble. Joseph, I don't believe it.
Oh, Samuel. I didn't want to hear that. Not from you.
It said, And I don't retract it. Think, Joseph. Maybe you will join us.
No, Samuel. And I give you my answer for two reasons.
Two?
One, that I know the way can't be through bloodshed and killing.
And the other?
Somehow, my future is here in Nazareth.
You love the place so much?
It's not the place. It's a strange sense connected in some way with a maiden.
A maiden? You, Joseph? After all these years, you're not so young anymore?
You may laugh when I tell you.
Why should I laugh? If it's important to you, Joseph, I'd like to hear it. Who has a better right? Who's a closer friend to you?
No one. Since we were boys together and played games in the hills of Galilee, you've been the only one I could talk to about the feelings that go on inside me. Now, there's this maiden. And I haven't been able to talk to anyone else about her.
Joseph, you've fallen in love.
I don't know if anything like this has ever happened before.
Every man feels the same when he falls in love for the first time.
You must understand. She's so very different. This maiden is unlike any I've ever seen before.
It's a man's privilege to suppose that when he falls in love.
It must be more than that.
But what makes you think there's no other like her?
I've never seen one.
And you've never been to Jerusalem either. There are thousands of women there, fair and dark, tall and short, with different kinds of beauty. Surely among them there must be one who can compare with this maiden you speak of?
No, Samuel, no. There is no other like her.
That's the talk of a lovesick boy. Not a grown man like yourself.
Now you're laughing at me, Samuel.
Forgive me, Joseph. But it's impossible for me to believe that any one maiden could be so different from all others.
This one is. When she walks, it's like the walk of angels, so light and graceful. And when she smiles, the sun seems dark by comparison. And her eyes, there's deep understanding there and compassion. And a soul so great, all else seems small.
For you to feel that way, Joseph, that is unusual. But tell me, how does she feel about you?
I don't know.
You never talk to her about the way you feel?
I've never talked to her at all.
And yet you know all this about her?
Does that strike you strange?
That's impossible. How can you know anyone so well without having had a word pass between you?
You can see it. At least I can see it. It's all within her.
Surely, Joseph. Now you must be joking.
No, Samuel.
I've never heard of any such thing. Never expected you would talk that way.
Would you like to see for yourself?
Indeed, I would.
Well, you can. It's almost time now for her to take her daily walk down to the well to fetch water. Come. We'll stand in the doorway of my shop, and you can see her as I've seen her every day now.
I've seen many women, but none who ever lived could be as fair or good as you say this one is.
Come.
Joseph, I don't know.
Wait. Look, here she comes now.
From here, she looks like any other maiden in Nazareth.
Not to me.
I will say that she appears to be more graceful than any other.
Such grace as I've imagined queens must have.
Yes. And her face. Her face. Joseph, she is truly beautiful. Most beautiful.
Quiet. She passes now.
Joseph, there is something about her. Feeling I can't describe. It's not her graceful walk, or her lovely face, or even her eyes, which have such depth and feeling. Joseph, I don't know what it is, but there's something about that maiden that I shall never forget.
And that's the way I feel. And the feeling has grown greater with every day.
Now I understand, Joseph. I'm sorry for what I said before. Joseph, tell me, don't you even know her name?
Her name is Mary.
This has been And Her Name Was Mary, another episode in the greatest story ever told, from the greatest life ever lived. This program was the first in a special series of 5 to be presented this week through the United States Armed Forces Radio Service, the voice of information and education.
This is WENR, the voice of service in Chicago. At this time, WENR leaves the air in favor of WLS.
Good evening, everyone. You are now listening to WLS, the voice of Prairie Farmer, America's oldest farm paper, Chicago.
The makers of Johnson's Wax bring you more musical moments of unmitigated merriment with Rico Marcelli's orchestra, Ronald Mansfield, Charlie Wilson, the Johnson Merrymen, and Marion and Jim as those gay and garrulous gadders, those gasoline gondoliers, Fibber, McGee, and Molly. Marcelli and his men leave their broadcasting for forecasting, and they find it's going to get hotter with shifting wood winds and a rain of rhythm in The Weatherman. Wrap it up, Rico. In the midst of this sparkling music, let me remind you that now is the time to wax your car. Your family, your friends will be proud to ride with you when your car sparkles and gleams with a Johnson Wax polish. Ask your dealer for Johnson's Auto Wax and Cleaner. You'll receive a can of fine quality black touch-up enamel absolutely free when you make your purchase. Don't delay another day. Wax your car the Johnson way.
Now he says, rolling gray, won't you push the clouds away? I can't endure the temperature. Weatherman, I depend on you. In my heart there's a tune where there used to be a thrill. I need my gal, you weatherman. Slow in the blowing, I shiver. My thoughts are going down to the river. Tonight for me, do something for me. You know my share of the weather is long overdue. Weatherman, see what you can do. Take the sun, drink it time, find my gal and make her mine. Or change your plan, you know you can. You weatherman.
Remember what the poet sang? A loaf of bread, a jug of wine, and thou? Well, that's Fibber, McGee, and Molly. Two loafers, bread, a chug of the motor, and thousands of miles behind them. They come inside of a new real estate development.
Look, McGee, it is a carnival. Let's stop.
Oh, shucks, Molly. We ain't got time to go messing around those ratted carnivals. Besides, it ain't a carnival.
Well, then what is it? Look at the people and the flags and all.
I don't know. What's the flag say on them?
Well, slow down so as I can read them, ignorant.
Okay. What's the sign say, Molly? I can't read them and drive, too.
Oh, must be a new subdivision, McGee. It says Wistful Vista home site. $1 down. Buy a lot for a little.
Lot of what?
Build a home for the land's sake.
Foolish for me to them.
The realest real estate you ever bought.
Oh, shucks, we don't want to stop and listen to a lot of high-pressure salesmanship.
Look, McGee, that sign.
Where?
Barbecue sandwiches and coffee free.
Gotta get them brakes stick.
You needn't have stopped so sudden. You near broke me neck.
I know. I just happened to think. Every American citizen ought to be interested in the home building, Molly. It's the backbone of our...
Go on with you, McGee. It's your wishbone you're talking about. You're wishing for a free sandwich.
Oh, shucks, Molly.
Hello.
There's one hello too many, mister. There's only two of us.
So I see. Yes, so I see. Two is the very type of citizen we want to see settle down on a little nest on this beautiful development, folks. Here's where you get a lot for a little, a home for half, and contentment on every dotted line. Yes, sir, folks.
What is this place now?
This place, madam? Why, this is none other than that beautiful landscape, Hagelmeyer's Wistful Vista subdivision. Wired for light, piped for gas, paved for pavements, ditched for sewers, and for only the small sum of...
where do you get them free sandwiches, brother?
And coffee.
Right over there, sir, at the barbecue pit. But before you avail yourself of Hagelmeyer's Wistful Vista hospitality, let me give you a short summary of our proposition here. We have probably the finest, the most economical...
Come on, Molly, get out. I don't know why we can't get a mouthful and an earful at the same time. Where'd you say this here free barbecue pit was, brother?
Well, I must inform you that that word free is conditional.
And what do you mean conditional? Free is free.
Oh, yes, indeed. Free without the slightest reservation to those who hold tickets for the grand drawing.
Grand what?
What you mean, tickets for the grand drawing?
Do you mean to say that you've come within 10,000 miles of Hagelmeyer's Wistful Vista without learning from every man, woman, and child the sensational details of our sales stimulant?
Oh, sure.
Why, sir and madam, here is opportunity itself knocking.
nay, thundering at your door.
That's all I want is opportunity to sink my teeth into a
Why,
barbecue
for the paltry sum of only $2, sir. You buy a ticket which may bring you shelter in your declining days, a haven from the storms of the future, the dream of every solid citizen of this great Commonwealth.
Oh, you mean you're selling chances onto a house?
A house?
A house?
Did you say a house, madam?
Certainly, I said
This is the house. The house of your dreams, madam. A cove of contentment. The realization of a lifetime's yearning. The answer to a woman's prayer. Look there.
Where?
There.
Oh.
Direct your gaze at that vine-covered cottage. That marvelous modern example of the architect's art. The home of your heart's desire. Right over there.
Oh, the house. Oh. Well, it is real pretty, isn't it, McGee?
Oh, it's okay. Now, where did you say this here barbecue?
Oh, McGee. You gotta have a ticket, the man says. There's only $2, and you have a chance to win that house and lot, too. Am I right, mister?
The miserable truth. For the miserable sum of $2.
What in Tunket's so miserable about $2, brother? That'll buy 20 sandwiches. And let me tell you, brother, a hamburger in the hand is worth a house in the hat any day. Come on, Molly, we better get back to our
Wait now,
talk.
McGee, wait. Buy me a ticket.
Buy you a... What was that, Molly?
You heard me, McGee. Buy me a ticket.
Well, for the... You mean you spend $2?
McGee, I'm starved.
Say, brother, how many sandwiches are you entitled to when you got a ticket?
Oh, there's no limit, sir. It's merely a gesture of hospitality on the part of the Hagelmeyer Wistful Vista Development Company. We feel that a well-fed customer is a better prospect.
You mean you can eat as much as you want?
Yes.
Give me a ticket.
There you are, sir. And as a friend to friend, I may say that you've never made a more intelligent purchase. It is...
You mean as one real estate man to another, brother?
Oh, now, McGee, give the man his $2 and let's be eating.
Here's your $2, brother. As I was saying, I used to dabble mighty in real estate myself. Tropical real estate.
Oh, really?
Nope. O'Reilly and McGee. O'Reilly and McGee, the part payment promoters of Panama. Used to sell banana plantations mostly. Some pineapple farms and rubber timber, but mostly bananas. Still, you should ought to seen the work we done on the pineapple plantations.
But if you'll excuse me,
You
sir,
ain't prying into my business a bit, brother. Always glad to share my experience with another real estate man. As I was saying, you should have seen the O'Reilly and McGee part payment promotion of pineapple plantations.
Oh, now, McGee, the man wants
to hear about how I done her. I know. You see, brother, I was probably the leading banana land promoter in Panama at the time.
Banana oil, McGee.
Banana oil. No, banana land. I had me the biggest plantation of bananas onto the island of Pago Pago.
Is that so?
Why, even the hurricane of 1908 never fazed me.
Well,
Even though the lightning bust every banana tree I owned right down the middle of the trunk.
lightning struck every banana tree?
Right down the middle. But it never discouraged me none. I just took one look at them trees, ordered a herd of Jersey cows shipped in, and set up an ice cream plant.
What for?
Banana split for the export trade. Come on, Molly.
That was Martelli and his men confessing to a starlight superstition, I wished on the moon. And I might say right here that if you ever wished on the moon, or just wished that your car could keep that brilliant factory finish, Johnson's Auto Wax will keep it that way.
Yes, Harpo. I always says that a
Now, just a minute, Fibber. My name is Harlow, once and for all.
Okay. That's once for you, and for all of me, it's still Harpo. I ever tell you about the time I had me the bee farm down in Turkey Run, Indiana?
Oh, an apiary.
I says bees, not monkeys. Well, sir, one day in 1906, or no, 07 it was.
I'm sorry, Fibber, but my time is
I
pretty
know.
well
Your time is my time. As I was saying, I drove into my bee farm one day and started giving the car a Johnson wax. And I happened to lay the can of wax down by one of my hives.
Oh, you had the hive.
No, my bees had the hive.
Oh.
I had the bees. But I lays me the can of Johnson's wax down by one of the hives, and all of a sudden I see Hortense. Hortense, she was a queen bee from the Hamp's Mother honey farm next door. I see Hortense looking down into that can of wax, real curious. Then she give a kind of an angry buzz and flew away home. The next thing I knew, there she was back again with the whole swarm of bees from the Hamp's Mother honey farm.
Ah, she went and got her gang.
Yep. And when the buzzing had died down a mite, I could hear her say to them other bees, she says, sitting on the edge of the can of Johnson's Auto Wax, she says, "Listen, you mugs," she buzzes, "get a load of the work that's being done over here. Look at that wax. That there is wax as is wax. Now go on home and see what you can do."
McGee, now, will you let Mr. Wilcox get on to this work?
Okay. I was just giving Harpo here a nature lesson, but he ain't got the intelligence to grasp my stuff.
Well, we don't know about bees, but here's a tip that's honey. Now is the time to wax your car. Don't drive around another day in a dirty, dull, faded-looking car. It gives everybody a very poor impression of you. And it's so easy to take away all that unattractive, dirty film and give your car a gleaming polish that shines like new. It's easy, that is, if you use Johnson's Auto Wax and Cleaner. These two products are regular miracle workers. They transform your car right before your eyes. With Johnson's Auto Wax and Cleaner, the work is done in about half the usual time. You'll be proud of your car when you see all the sparkle come back to the finish. It will look like it did when you first drove it out of the showroom. So go to your dealer at once and ask for Johnson's Auto Wax and Cleaner. Let me assure you that Johnson's Auto Cleaner contains no harsh abrasives. It does a miraculous cleaning job, and it positively does not harm the finish. Insist on Johnson's Auto Wax and Cleaner and save the finish on your car. And now, the show stands still for Ronnie Mansfield, our handsome Irish tenor, who stands pat at the mic to sing, And Then My Heart Stood Still.
I took one look at you, that's all I meant to do, and then my heart stood still. My feet could step and walk, my lips could move and talk, and yet my heart stood still. Though not a single word was spoken, I could tell you knew that unfelt clasp of hands told me so well you knew. I never lived at all until the thrill of that moment when my heart stood still. That unfelt clasp of hands told me so well you knew. I never lived at all until the thrill of that moment when my heart stood still.
Now, back to the Wistful Vista Real Estate Development. Amid the banners and bunting, barbecues and bologna, where Fibber and Molly are getting their $2 worth of sandwiches and coffee at the expense of Mr. Hagelmeyer.
Well, McGee, if you're able to walk, let's be going.
Oh, shucks, Molly. You might let a fella finish his sandwich.
His sandwich? Go on with you, McGee. You've ate so much beef, I'll have to ride herd on you for the next 2 weeks.
Shucks, you done all right yourself, Molly.
I know. I ate my dollar's worth in Piccaninny alone. Tear up your ticket and let's go.
Hey, now, wait a minute, Molly. Shucks, I paid $2 for that ticket.
And that's $4 worth of sandwiches and coffee. You don't think you'll win a house and lots, do you?
Well, you never know, Molly.
Look at the number on that ticket, McGee.
Where?
Right on the corner there. Read it.
131,313. Well, what about it?
What about it? And do you think you'll win on number 131313? Here's 3 strikes on you, McGee.
Shucks, that don't mean nothing, Molly. Add it up. 1 and 3 is 4, and 4 is 8, and 4 is 12. 12 is a lucky number, according to numberology. Even dozen.
Sure. An even dozen that doesn't mean anything. Oh, it is a nice little house. But you got no more chance of winning it than making a fortune on spaghetti in Ethiopia.
Oh, well, you have to admit, Molly.
There, my friend.
Oh, dear.
I hope you've enjoyed the hospitality of Hagelmeyer's Wistful Vista.
Oh, sure, they was real nice barbecues, mister. But we got to be on our way now.
Oh, no, madam. You cannot afford to pass up the homemaking opportunity of a lifetime. Why, when you consider what Hagelmeyer's Wistful Vista offers you in the way...
You got any soda tablets on you, bud?
No, sir, I'm afraid not. Oh, you will?
This is barbecued beef stampeding, mister. Come on, McGee.
Okay, glad to have met you, brother.
Oh, but wait. You haven't heard the real true story. The romance behind the founding of Hagelmeyer's Wistful Vista. We are building a community, sir. We are interested in laying the very cornerstones of civic development. We want to see homes and more homes with healthy, happy citizens. Little kiddies going to school. Smoke from 100 contented chimneys, even at a sacrifice.
Sacrifice?
Ah, yes. What is a monetary loss?
Well, when you can sell 131,313 tickets for $2 apiece, making $262,626 for a house that couldn't have cost more than $4,000 to put up. Answer me that, Mr. Sacrifice.
Well, I'm afraid, madam, that... Oh, here is Mr. Hagelmeyer himself. Mr. Hagelmeyer, these good people appear a bit skeptical of the sincerity of our Wistful Vista. I want you to meet Mr. Hagelmeyer, folks. Mr. Hagelmeyer, this is Mr. and Mrs. Mr. and Mrs.
McGee.
What?
Nothing. I was just telling Mr. Hagelsnuffer the name.
Hagelmeyer, madam. Mr. Hagelmeyer will tell you all the advantages and opportunities embraced in the purchase and ownership of a little home in Hagelmeyer's Wistful Vista. And the drawing of the lucky number will be held in just a few moments now. Mr. Hagelmeyer will be more than...
My, Mr. Hageltooper. Do all these people pay $2 for a few barbecues and coffee and ballyhooey?
Do you mean to say that is to remark... never let it be said... Well, Herman Hagelmeyer ever... Well, what do you think?
You know what I think, Haggy? I think that this here is a big dip. I think what we ought to do is
get out. What? You mean to say there and stand... to stand there and accuse... why, whoever... but did you ever stop to think that a man's best friend is... Well, what is mother without a home? What is home without a bar? Or a sink? I mean, someplace where a man, get the idea? just two little bums or birds in a gilded cage. Think of it, my friend. A little cottage with a big cheese. Cottage cheese. No. A million times no. Or shall we say maybe?
McGee, what is this man talking about?
Sounds like you got the needle in the wrong groove, Molly.
Oh, what a beautiful thought. Just give a little thought, but think of the twilight. A little home in the sticks, or rhubarb, or suburb, covered with mortgages, or ivy, poison ivy, or no, that was, and a cheerful fire, no insurance. I mean, a fire in the fireplace, a kettle singing on the stove, or home on the range, and a little wire-haired wife. A beautiful young pup. And the kitties. Ah, two charming little golden-haired brats. What a beautiful picture. Who says that Hagelmeyer builds bum bungalows, thin bungalow, or bung beagle, or frame house, or stucco? I'll stuck to stick on my friends.
Am I hearing right, Molly, or maybe I ate one sandwich too many?
Oh, look, McGee, the crowd's going over there for the raffle. Come on, let's see who won.
Okay, Molly. Probably be the cousin of Hagelmeyer here.
Sir, you are either on Jack or injecting. Well, look. Think of owning a title-free. A little love note, or fig note, or love nest. And remember that old limerick, poem? Let me live in the road by the side of, let me carouse by the side of, under the village oak smith tree, the blackface, skip it. All I can say is that when you build with Hagelmeyer, you'll always regret, it'll never be, you can depend on why there's not the slightest foundation.
That's just what I thought. Come on, McGee, they're drawing numbers. We'll see you later, Mr. Higglepotter.
Certainly not, sir. Yes, indeed. You can never depend on Hagelmeyer. You can always get what you want to find out what...
That there fella builds houses like he talks. You can park your car in the attic and shingle the cellar.
Oh, be quiet, McGee. They're making an announcement.
Ladies and gentlemen, the grand drawing is about to take place. Have your tickets ready. The lucky winner will receive, absolutely without cost or expense of any kind, free and clear title to the beautiful little home you see to my right. To those who do not win, we offer special bargains in home sites, homes designed and built on the beautiful Hagelmeyer Wistful Vista. Just a minute now, while the charming Miss Susie Glock, who was elected Miss Wistful Vista of 1935, draws the lucky number.
Oh, dear. Then us holding on to ticket number 131313.
Quiet, Molly. I want to see if old Hagelmeyer wins it himself.
Ladies and gentlemen, your kind attention, please. The lucky number has been drawn. The number that wins this beautiful example of the home builder's genius is none other than 1028. 1028. Will the lucky winner please step right up to the platform here?
Well, McGee, at least we had our barbecues and coffee.
Oh, shucks, the roof probably leaks anyway. What's the...
Tear up the ticket, McGee. 113, is that enough for three?
Attention, please, ladies and gentlemen.
Hey, wait a minute, Molly. Maybe we got pie coming.
Correction here. A correction, ladies and gentlemen. Number 1028 was not eligible for the prize as it had been turned in and the money refunded. Another number has been drawn. It is number 131,313.
McGee! It's our number, McGee. It's our number. McGee, what's the matter with you? McGee! Oh, help somebody.
my silver lining. You're my sky of blue. There's a love that's shining just because of you. Oh, see, I think, baby, you have got that certain thing, baby. Shining star and inspiration worthy of a mighty nation. Oh, D.I.C.
A few moments ago, I told you how easy it is to make your car sparkle like new again with Johnson's Auto Cleaner. Now it's very important to protect that gleaming finish so it will stay shining. And it's very important that you use Johnson's Auto Wax in order to give your car the surest protection against sun, rain, and road film. With a gleaming coat of Johnson's Wax on your car, whether new or old, it will resist dust and dirt. Car washings will be cut down after your car is Johnson Wax. The polish wears like iron, keeps your car in such beautiful condition that you will get much more money for it at the time of resale. So go to your dealer right away. Order Johnson's Auto Wax and Cleaner at the special price of 98 cents for the tube. Your dealer will give you a can of fine quality black touch-up enamel free with your purchase. If you prefer, your garage or service station will wax your car for you. But don't delay another day. Wax your car the Johnson way. So there you are until next Monday night at this same hour on NBC. Remember, NBC. And be sure to specify the genuine Johnson's Auto Wax and Cleaner, NBC. Oh, and NB. This is Harlow Wilcox speaking. Good night. The selection I Wished on the Moon is from the big broadcast of 1936 of the I Sing from the show of the same name. This program came to you from our Chicago studio. This is the National Broadcasting Company.
From New York, where the American stage begins, NBC presents Best Plays, transcribed with John Chapman. Best Plays, a series of hour-length dramas based on famous theatrical books begun by the late Burns Mantle, now edited by the distinguished drama critic of the New York Daily News, John Chapman.
Mr. Chapman.
Good evening. Somehow, I hesitate to describe the best play we are presenting here as a psychological melodrama, because that phrase doesn't have the punch it used to have. It seems to me that it used to mean a play or a movie that was enormously exciting, but still intelligent. It was a thriller that made sense and didn't have to rely on sliding panels, clutching claws, and all of the other machinery of the old-time meller. But from what I've seen lately, on the stage at least, and a good bit of the time in the movies, a psychological melodrama is a melodrama in which nothing happens. Since nothing has happened, I go right home to bed and sleep like a practically toothless baby. But that wasn't the case on the night of December 5th, 1941, when I saw the first performance of Patrick Hamilton's Angel Street. A great deal happened in that play, even though it was psychological. It was so psychological, in fact, that it kept my head whirling for hours. What a cunning and cruel devil that Mr. Manningham was. And how clever was that very dull-looking man from Scotland Yard, Sergeant Ruff. And what a terrible time that frail, beautiful Mrs. Manningham had had. This was indeed a best play, and it was staged and acted to perfection. For our performance now, we have the original Mr. and Mrs. Manningham. Vincent Price has had many fine roles on the stage and in the films, and this ranks as one of his best. Judith Evelyn, who is one of our best actresses, won stardom in Angel Street. This season, she had the leading feminine role in another psychological thriller, and a good one this time, The Shrike. And for Sergeant Ruff, we are happy to have Melville Cooper, one of the best actors Britain ever sent us. The players are ready now, and it's time to begin. London, 1880. The living room of a house on Angel Street. The room is murky with that rather terrifying darkness of the late afternoon. The 0 hour, as it were, before the feeble dawn of gaslight and tea. In front of the fireplace on a sofa, Jack Manningham is stretched out and sleeping heavily. Sitting quietly nearby is his wife, Bella. Once she might have been called beautiful, but now she has a haggard, frightened air about her. There is a knock at the door, and Bella rises to answer it.
Did you ring, madam?
I thought I heard the muffin man go by just then, Elizabeth. I suppose you're terribly busy.
Oh, no, ma'am.
I'd like so much to have some muffins with tea. Would you mind?
Not at all, ma'am. Gladly. Anything else, ma'am?
That's all. But please close the door gently. The master's asleep.
Oh, to be sure, ma'am.
Bella, what are you doing?
Oh, nothing, dear. Don't wake yourself.
What are you doing, Bella? Come here.
Muffins for tea. I only sent Elizabeth for muffins.
Why are you so apprehensive, Bella? I was not about to reproach you.
No, dear, I know you weren't.
The fire's in ashes. Ring the bell, will you, Bella, dear, please?
Is it merely to put coal on, my dear? I can do that.
Now then, Bella, we've had this out before. Be so good as to ring the bell.
But, dear, Elizabeth's out in the street. Let me do it. I can do
No.
it.
No. Where's the girl? Let the girl come up if Lizzie's out.
Jack, please spare me that girl. Don't call her in.
Ring the bell, please, Bella. Now, come here. What do you suppose the servants are for, Bella?
To serve us, I suppose, Jack.
Precisely. Then why do you...
I think we should consider them a little, that's all.
Consider them? There's your extraordinary confusion of mind again. You speak as though they worked for no consideration. I happen to consider Elizabeth to the tune of £16 per annum and the girl 10, £26 a year all told. And if that is not consideration of the most acute and lively kind, I should like to know what is.
Yes, Jack, I expect you're right.
I have no doubt of it, my dear. It's sheer weak-mindedness to think otherwise.
Did you ring, sir?
Yes, we rang the bell, Nancy. Well, go on, my dear. Tell her why we rang the bell.
Oh, yes, we want some coal on the fire, Nancy, please.
Very well, madam.
And after you do that, Nancy, you may as well light the gas. This darkness in the afternoon is getting beyond endurance.
Yes, sir.
You're looking very impudent and pretty this afternoon, Nancy. Do you know that?
Oh, I don't know at all, sir, I'm sure.
What is it, another broken heart added to your list?
I wasn't aware of breaking any hearts, sir.
I'm sure that's not true. And that complexion of yours, that's not true either. I wonder what mysterious lotions you've been employing to enhance your natural beauty.
I'm quite natural, sir, I promise you.
What are your secrets? Perhaps you could pass them on to Mrs. Manningham and help banish her pallor. She would be most grateful, I have no doubt.
I'd be most happy to, I'm sure, sir.
Or are women too jealous of their discoveries to pass them on to a rival?
I don't know, sir. Will that be all you're wanting, sir?
Yes, that's all I want, Nancy. Except my tea.
It'll be coming directly, sir.
Oh, Jack, how can you treat me like that?
But, my dear, you're the mistress of the house. It was your business to tell her to put the coal on.
No, it isn't that. It's humiliating me like that. That girl laughs at me enough already.
Laughs at you? What an idea. What makes you think she laughs at you?
I know that she does in secret. In fact, she does so openly, more openly every day.
But, my dear, if she does that, does not the fault lie with you?
You mean that I'm a laughable person?
I don't mean anything. It's you who read meanings into everything, Bella, dear. I wish you weren't such a perfect little silly. Now come here and stop it. I've just thought of something rather nice.
What is it, Jack? What have you thought of?
I read here that Mr. McNaughton, the celebrated actor, is in London for another season.
Yes, I read that. What of it, Jack?
What of it? Well, what do you suppose?
Oh, Jack, do you mean it? Would you take me to see McNaughton? You wouldn't take me to see McNaughton, would you?
I not only would take you to see McNaughton, my dear, I'm going to take you to see McNaughton. That is, if you want to go.
Oh, Jack, what heaven. What perfect heaven.
You can see him in comedy or tragedy, according to your choice. Which would you prefer, Bella, the comedy or the tragedy?
Oh, it's so hard to say. Which would you choose if you were me?
That depends, doesn't it, upon whether you want to laugh or whether you want to cry?
Oh, well, I want to laugh. But then I should like to cry, too. Oh, Jack, dear, what made you decide to take me?
Well, my dear, you've been very good lately, and I thought it would be well to take you out of yourself.
Oh, Jack, dear, it's true, it's true. All I need is to be taken out of myself. Just some little change. To have some attention from you. I could really try to be better. If only I could get out of myself a little more.
How do you mean, my dear, exactly better?
Well, you know in what way, dear. About all that's happened lately.
Let's not speak about that.
No, dear, I don't want to be gloomy, dear. That's the last thing I want to be. I only want you to understand. Say you understand.
Well, my dear, don't I seem to? Haven't I just said I'm taking you to the theater? Well, which is it to be, Bella, the comedy or the tragedy?
Oh, which shall it be? It matters so little. It matters so wonderfully little. I'm going to the play. Do you understand that, my husband? I'm going to the play.
I brought your tea, sir.
Put it on the table, Nancy.
Just as you wish, madam.
Tell me, Nancy, if you were being taken to the theater and had to choose between comedy and tragedy, which would you choose?
Oh, I'd go for the comedy all the time.
Oh, why would you choose the comedy, Nancy?
I like to laugh, madam, I suppose.
Well, I dare say you're right. I must bear it in mind. Mr. Manningham's taking me next week, you see.
Oh, yes? I hope you enjoy it. Will that be all, madam?
You may go, Nancy.
Yes, sir.
You seem wonderfully pleased with yourself, Bella, dear. I must take you to the theater more often if this is the result.
Oh, Jack, I wish you would. Do have your tea now. I used to adore these muffins as a child. We haven't had them since we've been married, have we? Or have we? Jack?
I don't know. I'm sure I don't know. Bella.
What is it? What's the matter?
I have no desire to upset you, Bella, but I have just observed something that is very much amiss. If you will rectify it at once while I am not looking, we will assume that it has not happened.
Amiss? Well, what's amiss? Jack, please don't turn your back on me. What has happened?
Are you trying to make a fool of me, Bella? What I refer to is on the wall behind you. If you will put it back, I will say no more about it.
The wall behind me? What? Yes, the picture. The picture's been taken down. Who's taken it down? Why has it been taken down?
Yes, why is it being taken down? Why, indeed. You alone can answer that, Bella. Now, will you please take it from wherever you have hidden it and put it back on the wall again?
No, but I haven't hidden it, Jack. I haven't hidden it. Someone else must have done it.
Someone else? Are you suggesting that I should play such a fantastic and wicked trick?
Oh, no, dear, no, but someone else.
Certainly the servants would not have done so without permission or instruction.
But I didn't touch that picture.
Will you please leave go of me and sit down there? You're mad, Bella, and you don't know what you do. You unhappy wretch, you're stark, gibbering mad like your wretched mother before you.
Jack, you promised you'd never say that again.
The time has come, my dear Bella, to face facts.
Jack, I'm going to make a last appeal to you. I'm going to make a last appeal. I'm desperate, Jack. Can't you see that I'm desperate?
Go on, say what you wish to say.
I may be going mad, like my poor mother. But if I am mad, you've got to treat me gently. Jack, I never lie to you knowingly. If I've taken down that picture from its place, I've not known it. I've not known it. Jack, if I steal your things, your rings, your keys, your pencils, and your handkerchiefs, and you find them later at the bottom of my sewing box, as indeed you do, then I do not know that I've done it. Jack, if I commit these fantastic and meaningless mischiefs, so meaningless, why should I take down a picture from its place? If I do all these things, then I'm certainly going off my head. I must be treated kindly and gently so that I may get well. You must bear with me, Jack. Bear with me. I'm trying, Jack. I'm trying. Please believe that I'm trying. be kind to me?
Bella, my dear, have you any idea where that picture is now?
Yes, I suppose it's behind the cupboard.
Will you please go and see?
Yes. Yes. Yes, it's here.
Then you did know where it was, Bella.
No, I only supposed it was because it was found there before. It was found there twice before.
Now, Bella, as I said a moment ago, we have got to face facts, and that is what we have got to do. I'm not going to say any more about it at the moment, for my feelings are running too high. In fact, I am going out immediately, and I suggest that you go up to your room and lie down for a little in the dark.
Oh, no, not to my room. Please, don't send me to my room.
There is no question of sending you to your room, Bella. You know perfectly well you may do exactly as you please. Now, my dear, I'm going to leave you in peace.
Have you got to go? Must you always leave me alone after these dreadful scenes?
Now, no argument, please. I had to leave you in any case after tea. I'm merely leaving a little earlier, that's all. Oh, by the way, Bella, I shall be passing the grocer, and I may as well pay that bill of his and have it done with. Where is it, my dear? I gave it to you, didn't I?
Yes, dear, it's on the secretary.
Where is it, my dear? Is it in one of these drawers?
No, it's on the top. I put it there this afternoon.
Are you sure, dear? There's nothing here except some writing paper.
Jack, I'm quite sure it is there. Will you look carefully?
All right, my dear, all right. I'll find it. No, it's not here. It must be in one of the drawers.
No, it is not in one of the drawers. I put it up there on top. You're not going to tell me this is gone, are you?
Will you calm yourself?
Where is it? Now you're going to say
what new trick is this you're playing upon me?
It was there this afternoon. I put it there. This is a plot.
Control yourself? Will you control yourself? Now you listen to me, madam. If you utter another sound, I'll knock you down and take you to your room and lock you in darkness for a week. I've been too lenient with you, and I mean to alter my tactics.
Help me, Jack. Please help me.
Now, listen to me. I'm going to leave you here until 10 o'clock. In that time, you will recover that paper and admit to me that you have lyingly and purposely concealed it. If not, you will take the consequences.
Jack, please be patient with me. If I'm mad, be patient with me.
I have been patient with you and controlled myself long enough. It is now for you to control yourself. Think upon that, Bella.
Oh, Jack, don't go. Jack, you're still going to take me to the theater, aren't you?
What a question to ask me at such a time. No, madam, emphatically I am not. You play fair by me, and I'll play fair by you. If we are going to be enemies, you and I, you will not prosper, believe me.
Jack! Oh, Jack!
Madam.
Yes? What is it, Elizabeth?
There's somebody called, ma'am.
Who is it? I don't want to be disturbed.
It's a gentleman, madam. He wants to see you.
Tell him to go away. I want to be left alone.
Madam, I think you ought to see him.
No.
Will you please come in, sir?
Elizabeth, no, I'm not fit to be seen.
Good evening, Mrs. Manningham. How are you, Mrs. Manningham?
How do you do? I'm very much afraid. No doubt you've come to see my husband.
Oh, on the contrary, I've chosen this precise moment to call when I knew your husband was out. You may go, Elizabeth.
Yes, sir.
Really, I'm afraid I don't understand at all.
Well, you will do so, madam, very shortly. You're the lady who's going off your head, aren't you?
Made you say that? Who are you?
I'm a police detective.
A police detective?
Or was, some years ago. In fact, Mrs. Manningham, you have in front of you one who was quite a personage in his day. Now, I want you to take a good look at me and see if you're not looking at someone to whom you can give your trust.
Why are you here?
Well, we'll come to that. Now, I want you to answer several questions for me, Mrs. Manningham. First, how long have you been married?
5 years and a little.
Where have you lived all that time? Not here, have you?
No. First we went abroad. Then we lived in Yorkshire. Then 6 months ago, my husband bought this house.
You bought it?
Yes, I had a bit of money. My husband thought it was an excellent investment.
Does your husband always leave you alone like this in the evenings?
Yes, he goes to his club, I believe, and does business.
Ah. Does he give you free run of the whole house while he's out?
Yes. Well, no. Not the top floor. Why do you ask?
Before I go any further, Mrs. Manningham, I must tell you there's a leakage in this household. You have a maid, Nancy?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, Nancy walks out of an evening with a young man named Booker in my employ. I live only a few streets away from you, you know.
Yes.
Well, there's hardly anything that goes on in this house which is not described in detail to Booker, and from that quarter it reaches me.
I knew it. I knew that she talked.
I fancy because of her indiscretion, you are going to be heavily in debt to your Miss Nancy.
What do you mean? You must explain.
Well, shortly, madam. Now tell me, have you ever been up to the top floor?
No, no one goes up there.
Mrs. Manning, I want to ask you a personal question. When did you first get the notion that your reason was playing at tricks?
How did you know?
Well, never mind how I know. When did it begin?
I always had that dread. My mother died insane when she was quite young. When she was my age. But only in the last 6 months in this house, things began to happen.
You interest me beyond measure. What things began to happen?
I don't know what to say. It all sounds so incredible. But it's when I'm alone at night. I get the idea that somebody's walking about up there. Up there on the top floor. At night when my husband's out, I hear noises from my bedroom, but I'm too afraid to go up.
It never struck you, did it, that it might be your own husband walking about up there?
Yes, that is what I thought. But I thought I must be mad.
Why did you think it was he?
It was the light. The gas light. In this house, I can tell everything by the light of the gas. You see that mantle there?
Mm-hmm.
And now it's burning full. But if an extra light went on in the kitchen or someone lit it in the bedroom, then this one would sink down.
Yes, insufficient pressure.
But every night after he goes out, I find myself waiting for something. Then all at once, I look round the room, and I see that the light is slowly going down. I go up to my bedroom, but I daren't stay there because I hear noises overhead. I want to scream and run out of the house. I sit here for hours, terrified, waiting for him to come back. And I always know when he's coming, always, because suddenly the light goes up again. And then 10 minutes afterwards, I hear his key in the lock. And he's back again.
I think you've made a very remarkable discovery, one which may have very far-reaching consequences.
Far-reaching? How?
Well, now, let's leave that alone for a moment. Tell me, that's not the only cause, is it, which has lately given you reason to doubt your sanity? Now, don't be afraid to tell me.
Yes, there are other things. It's been going on for so long, this business of the gas has just brought it to a head, but it seems that my mind and my memory are beginning to play me tricks.
Tricks? What sort of tricks?
Mr. Manningham gives me things to look after, and when he asks for them, they're gone and can never be found. I hunt the place for them, and he will find them lying hidden at the bottom of my workbox. Only today, before you came, that picture had been taken down from the wall and hidden. Now, who could have done it but myself? I try to remember. I break my heart trying to remember. But I can't. And then there was that terrible business about the dog.
Dog?
Yes. We have a little dog. A few weeks ago it was found with its paw hurt. He believes... How can I tell you what he believes? That I had hurt the dog.
Oh, no.
He keeps it in the kitchen and I'm not allowed to see it. So I begin to doubt, don't you see? I begin to believe that I imagine everything. Perhaps I do. Are you here? Is this a dream, too?
I assure you, you are not dreaming, madam. Mrs. Manningham, did you ever hear of the cabman's friend?
The cabman's friend?
Yeah, her name was Barlow, Alice Barlow. She was an old lady of great wealth and decided eccentricities. In fact, her principal mania in life was the protection of cabmen. She provided these men with shelters, clothing, pensions, so forth. And that was her little contribution to the sum of the world's happiness, or rather, her little stand against the sum of the world's pain. It was not my privilege to know her, but it was my duty on one occasion to see her. That was when her throat was cut open. She lay dead on the floor of her own house.
Oh, horrible. You mean she was murdered?
Yes, she was murdered. Murder was never discovered, but the motive was obvious enough. Her husband had left her the Barlow rubies, and it was well known that she kept them without any proper precautions in her bedroom on an upper floor.
But
Murderer seemed to have got in about 10 in the night and stayed till dawn. There were only a few trinkets taken, but the whole house had been turned upside down. In the upper room, even the cushions of the chairs were ripped up with his bloody knife, and the police decided it must have been the work of a revengeful maniac as well as a robber. I had other theories, but I was nobody then and not in charge of the case.
And was the man never found?
No, Mrs. Manning, the man was never found, nor have the Barlow rubies ever come to light.
Well, then perhaps he found them after all and may be alive today.
I think he's almost certainly alive today, but I don't believe he found what he wanted. That is, if my theory is right.
Then the jewels may still be where the old lady hid them?
Mrs. Manningham, if my theory is right, the jewels must still be where she hid them. And do you conceive it possible, Mrs. Manningham, that man might never have given up hope of one day getting the treasure which he could not find the night of the murder?
Yes, possibly. But what has this to do with me?
Can you conceive that he may have waited years, gone abroad, got married even, until at last his chance came to resume the search begun on that terrible night?
Yes.
You know, Mrs. Manningham, the old theory that the criminal always returns to the scene of his crime?
Yes.
Yes, but in this case there's something more than that morbid compulsion. There's real treasure there to be unearthed if only he can search again. Search methodically, without fear of interruptions, without causing suspicion. How would he do that? Don't you think... What's the matter, Mrs. Manning?
Quiet. Be quiet, he's come back. Look at the light. It's going down. Wait. There. He's come back, you see. He's upstairs now.
Yeah, me, that's very odd, that is. Very odd indeed.
He's in the house, I tell you must go. You know you're here, you must go.
How dark it is, you could hardly see to read.
Go, he's in the house, please,
quiet,
go.
Quiet, Mrs. Manningham, quiet. You've got to keep your head. Don't you see my meaning yet? Don't you understand that this was the house?
House? What house?
The old woman's house. The house here, these rooms, these walls. 15 years ago, Alice Barlow lay dead on the floor in this room. 15 years ago, the man who murdered her ransacked this house but could not find what he sought. What if he's still searching, Mrs. Manningham? What if he's up there, still searching?
But my husband is up there.
Precisely that, Mrs. Manningham. Your husband. You see, I'm afraid you're married to a tolerably dangerous gentleman.
The idea is mad. I've been married 5 years. How can you imagine my husband is what you imagine he may be?
Why, ma'am, because I was on the case when the police came to this place 15 years ago. You can understand there's a great deal of routine work to be done, interviewing your relatives, friends, and so forth. Well, most of that was left to me.
Well?
Among those I interviewed was a young man of the name of Sidney Power.
Power?
Sidney Power. Conveys nothing to you?
Power? No.
He was a kind of distant cousin. The only thing was that I remembered his face. Well, I saw that face again just a few weeks ago. Took me a whole day to recollect where I'd seen it before, and at last I remembered it.
Well, what if you did remember it?
Yeah, well, what startled me was the lady on his arm and the locality in which I saw him.
Who was the lady on his arm?
You were the lady on his arm, Mrs. Manningham, and you were walking down this street.
You mean you think my husband is this Mr. Power?
Well, if my theories are correct.
But what are you saying? You stand there talking riddles. You're so cold. You're as heartless and cold as he is.
No, Mrs. Manningham, I'm not cold and I'm not talking riddles. I'm just trying to preserve a cold and calculating tone because you are up against the most awful moment in your life, and your whole future depends on what you're going to do this next hour. Nothing less. You've got to strike for your freedom and strike now. For the moment may not come again.
Strike?
Mrs. Manningham, you are not going out of your mind. You are slowly, methodically, systematically being driven out of your mind. And why? Because you're married to a criminal maniac who steals back to his own house at night, still searching for something he could not find 15 years ago. These are the facts, wild and incredible as they seem. Now, every night for the last few weeks, he has entered his house next door from the back, climbed to the roof, and come into his house by the skylight. I know that because I've watched him. Mrs. Manningham, so far I'm only dealing in guesses and half facts. I've got to have evidence, and that's why I've come to see you. You've got to give me the evidence or help me find it.
This is my husband, don't you understand? This is my husband. You must go. I must think this out. I must cling to the man I married, mustn't I?
Oh, indeed, cling to him by all means, but do not imagine you are the only piece of ivy on the garden wall. You can cling to him if you desire, as his fancy women in the low resorts of the town cling to him. This is the sort of wall you have to cling to, ma'am.
Women? What are you suggesting?
I'm not suggesting anything. I'm only telling you what I've seen. He comes to life at night, this gentleman upstairs, in more ways than one. I've made it my business to follow him in some of his less serious excursions, and I can promise you he has a taste in unemployed actresses which he's at no pains to conceal.
Please, heaven, what am I to believe?
Madam, do I have your trust?
What do you want me to do? What do you want?
I want his papers, Mrs. Manningham, his identity.
Papers? I know of no papers. Unless his desk. It's there, but he keeps it always locked. I've never seen it open.
Very well, you shall see it open now. Do you mind if I take off my coat? Mrs. Manningham, one of the greatest regrets of my life is that fate never made me one of two things. One was a gardener and the other a burglar. Both quiet occupations. Now, as for burgling, I think if I'd started young and worked up my way, I should have been a genius.
But you must not touch his desk. He'll know what you've done.
Not if we are clever enough. You see, Mrs. Manningham, there are always...
Haven't you noticed something? Look. Can't you see? The light. It's going up. He's coming back. He's coming back, and you must go.
Oh, bless my soul. This looks as if the unexpected has entered in. Very well. You must ring for Elizabeth.
Well, why do you want Elizabeth?
There's no time to waste. Ring for Elizabeth, madam.
Very well, but you must go. Please, please.
All in good time. Now, he's not going to jump in through the window, you know. In fact, he can't be round the front door in less than 5 minutes. Unless he's a magician.
Please, please go.
Yes, madam.
Elizabeth, come here, will you?
Yes, sir.
Elizabeth, you and I have got to do a little quite calm but rather quick thinking. Now, you told me you're anxious to help your mistress, Elizabeth?
Why, yes, sir. I told you I was, sir.
Oh, are you anxious to help her blindly without asking any questions?
Yes, sir, but you see...
Now, come now, Elizabeth. Are you or are you not?
Yes, sir.
Good, good. Now, Elizabeth, Mrs. Manning and I have reason to suppose in about 5 minutes' time the master is returning to this house. He mustn't see me leaving. Now, would you be good enough to take me down to your kitchen and hide me away for a short space of time? You can put me in the oven if you like.
Yes, sir, but
you see... You must go. He won't see you if you go now.
Yeah, what were you saying, Elizabeth?
You could come to the kitchen, sir, but Nancy's down there, sir.
Yes, we'll find another place. Where are you going to hide me, Elizabeth?
Through the door behind you, sir, is where he dresses, where he keeps his clothes. There's a big wardrobe there at the back.
It'll have to suffice, yes. Now, we really have to hurry. Get off to bed, Mrs. Manningham, quick. And you, Elizabeth, get back to your work.
To bed? Am I to go to bed?
Yes, yes, and quickly.
But if I go to bed...
Will you go, in heaven's name? There's not a second to spare. Hurry!
Did you ring, sir?
Yes, I did. Where is Mrs. Manningham, Elizabeth?
I think she's gone to bed, sir. I think she had a headache and went to bed.
Oh, indeed. And how long has she been in bed, do you know?
She went just a little while ago, sir. I think, sir.
Oh, I see. Then we must be quiet, mustn't we? Walk about like cats. Can you walk about like a cat, Elizabeth?
Yes, sir. I think so, sir.
Very well, then. Walk about like a cat. That will be all, Elizabeth.
Excuse me, sir. But were you going to have some supper, sir?
Oh, yes, I'm going to have some supper, Elizabeth. I'm having it out. I have just come home to change my linen. What did you think about Mrs. Manningham tonight, Elizabeth?
What way do you mean, sir?
Oh, just as regards her general health.
I don't know, sir. She certainly seems very unwell.
Yes, I doubt if you can guess to what extent she's unwell. Or are you beginning to guess?
I don't know, sir.
I'm at my wit's end, Elizabeth. You know that, don't you?
I expect you are, sir.
I've tried everything. Kindness, patience, cunning, even harshness to bring her to her senses. But nothing will stop these wild, wild hallucinations. Nothing will stop these wicked pranks and tricks.
It seems very terrible, sir.
Oh, you don't know a quarter of it, Elizabeth. You only see what is forced upon your attention. You have no conception of what goes on all the time. You know, don't you, that I shall have to bring a doctor to see Mrs. Manningham before very long. I've fought against it to the last, but it can't be kept a secret much longer.
No, sir.
I mean to say, you know what goes on. You can testify to what goes on, can't you?
Indeed, sir. Yes.
Indeed, you may have to testify in the end, Elizabeth. You realize that, don't you?
Yes, sir. I only want to do what's best for both of you.
You're a very loyal soul, Elizabeth. And you will be repaid for your loyalty.
I only want to serve, sir.
Yes. Yes, I know that. Well, Elizabeth, I'm going out. In fact, I'm even going to try to be a little gay. Can you understand that, Elizabeth, or do you think it's very wrong?
Oh, no, sir. You should get all the pleasure you can, sir. While you can.
I wonder.
Yes, I wonder. It's a curious existence, isn't it? Well, good night, Elizabeth.
Good night, sir. Good night.
Well, now, Elizabeth, the master's safely out the house, so I think you might go and get Mrs. Manningham.
Yes, sir. I'll get her, sir.
I was watching from the window and saw him go.
Good, madam. Elizabeth, we've been so occupied this evening that the tea things haven't been returned to the kitchen. You'll see to it, won't you?
Yes, sir.
What did he want? What did he come back for?
He only came back to change his clothes, madam. If you need me, madam, I'll be nearby.
Thank you, Elizabeth.
Now, let's have another look at this disc. Let's try this one. There we are. Let's see. Doesn't seem to be much here, does there? When she got there, the cupboard was bare, and so the poor detective...
What's that you have in your hand? What's that you have in your hand?
Why, you recognize this?
Why, yes, that's my brooch. Is there anything else there? Oh, look, it's my watch.
Was also your property, then?
It's this watch I lost a week ago. My brooch has been missing 3 months. And he said he would give me no more gifts because I lost them. He said that in my wickedness I hid them away. Oh, Inspector, is there anything else? Is there a bill there? Is there a grocery bill?
Grocery bill? No, doesn't seem to be. Perhaps in the second drawer. No. Doesn't seem to fit, does it? Has it ever been opened to your knowledge?
I think he has a special lock on it.
Well, we just have to force it.
But you must not do that. What shall I say to my husband when he comes back?
I've no idea what you will say when he comes back, Mrs. Manningham, but then I have no idea what you will do if I have no evidence to remove you from his loving care.
I'm afraid. What can I do?
There's only one thing to do. I'm going to force it and gamble on finding something. Are you with me?
No, but don't you see that... All right, force it, but be quick.
Now, let's have a look.
Is there anything there?
Mr. Manningham, letters, papers, No, we've lost our gamble. Nothing we want here.
What are we going to do?
Well, first, let's get these things back to begin with. The watch?
Yes, here.
The brooch?
Yes, here it is.
Yeah, it's a nice piece of jewelry. Where did he give it you?
Soon after we were married. But it was only second-hand.
How did you know?
There's an inscription to someone else inside. It says from CB to AB.
From CB to AB? How very odd. What are these spaces here for?
Well, there were some beads in it, but they were all loose and falling out, so I took them out.
Have you got them by any chance?
Yes, I think so. I put them in the vase on the mantel.
May I see them, please?
Yes, they should still be here.
There should be 9 altogether, I think.
That's right. Yes, here they are. Yes, they're all here.
Let me see. Oh, how very odd. My dear Mrs. Manningham, have you ever been embraced by an elderly detective in his shirt sleeves?
Oh, what do you mean?
Well, that is your immediate fate at this moment. Oh, my dear, dear Mrs. Manningham, don't you understand? Don't you see?
No, what are you so excited about?
Madam, you are looking at the Barlow rubies. These beads are 12,000 pounds worth of rubies. Take a good look at them before they go to Her Majesty the Queen.
And I had them all the time.
All because he could not resist a little common theft along with a big game. Well, it's I'm after the big game now. What time did he give me back?
I don't know. He's not usually in until 11.
Oh, well, then we put the brooch back where we found it. On the down there, on the right.
On the
That's
right.
Yes. Now, I want you to go to your room. Lock your door and do not leave your room under any circumstances.
Oh, please don't leave me. I have a feeling. Don't leave me.
You have nothing to fear so long as you remain in your room with your door locked. Now, you'll do that, won't you?
Yes, Inspector. I'll say my headache is worse. Only don't make me stay there long. I'm so afraid.
You are listening to the Best Plays production of Angel Street by John Patrick, starring Vincent Price, Judith Evelyn, and Melville Cooper, with Elizabeth Eustace and Marjorie Maud. In a moment, we will return with Act Two. This is NBC, the National Broadcasting Company.
Now, before we resume with Act Two of John Patrick's Angel Street on Best Plays, here is John Chapman.
The season of 1941-1942 had another thriller, too. It was Uncle Harry by Thomas Job, which, by the way, we'll be doing later in this series. It was wartime then, and a good many dramas dealt with national and international affairs. John Huston, the movie writer and director, collaborated on a best play called In Time to Come, about Woodrow Wilson and the League of Nations. John Steinbeck had a drama about Nazi brutality, The Moon is Down. Maxwell Anderson also did one about the Germans, Candle in the Wind. There was still another good war play, Letters to Lucerne. But not all of Broadway was serious. Noel Coward came up with one of his happiest comedies, Blithe Spirit, and Jerome Chodoroff and Joseph Fields hit another laughing jackpot with Junior Miss. Patrick Hamilton, who was a Londoner, wrote his melodrama about Mr. and Mrs. Manningham before the war under the title of Gaslight. It was a great success in London, but it went begging in New York for 2 years until producer Shepard Traub took a chance on it and changed its name. A very good movie was made under the original title of Gaslight. But now we should be moving into the second act of our play, which is Angel Street. It is now 11 o'clock. In the living room of the house on Angel Street, Mr. Manningham has just returned. He enters the room and in a slow and deliberate way pulls the bell cord. After a few moments, the door opens and Nancy enters.
Yes, sir? Nancy, will you please go upstairs and tell Mrs. Manningham that I wish to see her down here?
If I may say so, sir, I doubt if she'll come. Elizabeth says she has an headache and is trying to sleep.
Oh. Did you ever know a time when Mrs. Manningham did not have a headache, Nancy?
No, sir, hardly ever, sir.
Will you be so good as to come a little closer, Nancy, where I can see you?
Yes, sir.
What do you do with your evenings, Nancy?
I usually spend them with friends, sir.
You know, Nancy, when you say friends, I have an extraordinary idea that you mean gentlemen friends.
Well, sir, possibly I might.
You know, gentlemen friends have been known to take decided liberties with young ladies like yourself. Are you alive to such a possibility?
Oh, no, sir, not with me. I can look after myself.
And are you always so anxious to look after yourself?
No, sir, not always, perhaps.
You know, Nancy, pretty as your bonnet is, it's not anything near so pretty as your hair beneath it. Won't you take it off and let me see it?
Very good, sir. Comes off easy enough. There. Is there anything more you want, sir?
Yes, possibly. Come here, Nancy.
Yes, sir. Is there anything you want, sir? What do you want, eh? What do you want? There. Can she do that for you? Can she do that?
Why, who can you be talking about, Nancy?
You know who I mean, all right.
You know you're a very remarkable girl in many respects, Nancy. Why, I believe you're jealous of your mistress.
There's no need to be jealous of her. You're mine now, ain't you? Because you want me. You do want me, don't you?
And what of you, Nancy? Do you want me?
Oh, yes, I always wanted you, ever since I first clapped eyes on you.
Well, Nancy, you've taken me a little by surprise. We shall talk this over tomorrow.
Well, you let me know when she's about.
Oh, I'll find a way, Nancy. I don't believe Mrs. Manningham will be here tomorrow. I don't think that...
What is it, your lordship? Why are you looking that way?
That desk drawer. Somebody's been tampering with it. See there, the wood split.
It's her, I'll be bound.
Nancy, will you please go upstairs and take a message for me to Mrs. Manningham?
Yes, what do you want me to say?
Will you please tell her that I wish to see her down here this instant, whether she is suffering from a sick headache or any other form of ailment?
Just like that, sir?
Just like that, Nancy.
With the greatest of pleasure, sir.
Well, Nancy?
She won't come.
What do you mean she won't come?
She says she can't come. She's not well enough. She's just shamming, if you ask me.
Oh, really? Then she forces me to be undignified and go to her.
The door's locked. I tried it, and she won't let you in. I can tell by her voice. Are you going to batter it in?
No. No, perhaps you're right. Let us try more delicate means of attaining our ends. Perhaps you will take a note to this wretched imbecile and slip it under her door.
Yes, I'll do that. What are you writing to?
Never mind what I'm writing. I'll tell you what you can do, though, Nancy. Just go down in the basement and fetch me the little dog, will you?
The dog?
The dog, yes.
What's the game?
Never mind, just go and get it.
All right.
Or on second thought, Nancy, perhaps you need not get the little dog. We'll just let it be supposed we have the little dog. Here you are, Nancy. Please go and put this note under her door.
What have you written?
No, nothing very much. Just a little smoke for getting rats out of holes. Run along.
You're a rum beggar, ain't you?
Go along, Nancy. And after you deliver the note, I would be obliged if you will go to bed at once. Good night.
Give her what for, won't you? Ta-ta.
There you are, Bella. Come and sit down in this chair, please.
Where's the dog?
Dog? What dog?
You said you had the dog. Have you heard it again?
Again? This is strange talk, Bella, after what you did to the little dog a few weeks ago. Come and sit down here.
I do not wish to speak to you. I'm not well. I thought you had the dog and were going to hurt it. That's why I came down.
The dog, my dear Bella, was merely a ruse to compel you to pay me a visit quietly. Come and sit down where I told you.
No.
Come and sit down where I told you.
That's what you want.
I want quite a good deal, Bella. Sit down and make yourself comfortable. We have plenty of time.
Say what you have to say.
Now, you are not sitting in the chair that I indicated, Bella.
What have you to say?
Are you afraid of me that you desire to get so near the door?
No, I'm not afraid of you.
No? Then you have a good deal of courage, my dear. However, will you now come and sit down where I told you?
Yes.
Sit down. Do you know what you reminded me of, Bella, as you walked across the room?
No, what did I remind you of?
A somnambulist, Bella. Have you ever seen such a person?
No, I've never seen one.
Haven't you? Not that funny, glazed, dazed look of the wandering mind, the body that acts without the soul to guide it. I've often thought you had that look, Bella, but it was never so strong as it was tonight.
And my mind is not wandering.
No? When I came in tonight, Bella, I was told you had gone to bed.
Yes, I've gone to bed.
Then may I ask why you are still fully dressed?
I don't know.
You don't know? Do you know anything about anything you do?
I don't know. I forgot to undress.
You forgot to undress. A curious oversight, if I may say so, Bella. You know, you give me the appearance of having had rather an exciting time since I last saw you. Almost as though you'd been up to something. Have you been up to anything?
I don't know what you mean.
Did you find that bill I told you to find?
No.
Do you remember what I said would happen to you if you did not find that bill when I returned tonight?
No.
No? No? The array of your mental and physical deficiencies is growing almost overwhelming. I would advise you to answer me.
Well, what do you want me to say?
What was it I asked you to remember?
I don't understand your words. You talk round and round. My head is going round and round.
Not necessary to tell me that, Bella. I was just wondering if it might interrupt its gyratory motion for a fraction of a second and concentrate upon the present conversation. Now, please, what was it I, a moment ago, asked you if you remembered?
You asked me if I remembered what you said would happen to me if I did not find that bill.
Admirable, my dear Bella, admirable. We shall make a great logician of you yet. A Socrates, a John Stuart Mill. You shall go down to history as the shining mind of your day. That is, if your present history does not altogether submerge you, take you away from your fellow creatures. And there is a danger of that, you know. Well, what did I say I would do to you if you did not find that bill?
You said you would lock me up.
And do you believe me to be a man of my word? Yet you did not find the bill I instructed you to find.
No.
Did you look for it?
Yes.
Where did you look for it?
Oh, around the room.
Around the room? Where around the room? In my desk, for instance?
No, not in your desk.
Why not in my desk?
Your desk is locked.
You imagine you can lie to me?
I'm not lying.
Come here, Bella.
What do you want?
Now you listen to me. Your dark, confused, rambling mind has led you into playing some pretty tricks tonight, has it not?
My mind is tired. I want to go to bed.
Your mind indeed is tired. Your mind is so tired it can no longer work at all. You do not think, you dream. Dream all day long. Dream everything. Dream maliciously and incessantly. Don't you know that by now, you sleepwalking imbecile? What have you been dreaming tonight? Where is your mind wandered that you have split open my desk? What strange disease dream have you had tonight, eh?
Dream? Are you saying I've dreamed? Dreamed all that happened?
All that happened when, Bella, tonight? Of course you dreamed all that happened, or rather all that did not happen.
Dreamed? Tonight, are you saying I've dreamed? Oh, what have I dreamed? Have I dreamed again?
Have I not told you?
I haven't dreamed. I haven't. Don't tell me I've dreamed anything. Don't tell me.
What was this dream of yours, Bella? You interest me.
I dreamt of a man. I dreamt of a man.
You dreamed of a man? What man did you dream of, pray?
A man that came to see me. Oh, let me rest.
Pull yourself together, Bella. What man are you talking about?
I dreamed a man came
I
here.
know you dreamed it, you gibbering wretch. I want to hear more about this man of whom you dreamed. Do you hear me? Do you hear me?
I dream.
Was I any part of this curious dream of yours, Mrs. Manningham? Perhaps my presence here will help you recall it.
May I ask who the devil you are and how you got in here?
Well, who I am seems a little doubtful. Apparently, I'm a mere figment of Mrs. Manningham's imagination. As to how I got in, I came in, or rather, I came back. Or better still, I effected an entrance a few minutes before you, and I've been hidden away ever since.
Would you be kind enough to tell me what you are doing here?
Waiting for some friends, Mr. Manningham. Waiting for some friends. Don't you think you'd better go to bed, Mrs. Manningham? You look very tired.
Don't you think you had better explain your business, sir?
Well, as a mere figment, as a mere ghost existing only in your wife's mind, I can hardly be said to have any business. Tell me, Mr. Manningham, can you see me? No doubt your wife can, but it must be difficult for you. Now, perhaps if she goes to her room, I will vanish, and you won't be bothered by me anymore.
Bella, go to your room. I shall find out the meaning of this and deal with you in due course.
Jack?
Go to your room, Bella. I will call you down later. I have not finished with you yet, madam.
Hello? I believe you're wrong there, Manningham. I believe that is just what you have done.
Done what?
Finished with your wife, my friend.
Who are you, sir?
I have no name, Manningham. In my present capacity, I am, as I pointed out, a mere spirit. Perhaps a spirit of something that you have evaded all your life. But in my case, only a spirit. Will you have a cigar with a spirit? We might have to wait some time.
Are you going to tell me your business, sir? Or am I going to fetch a policeman and have you turned out?
Oh, an admirable idea. I could have thought of nothing better myself. Yes, fetch a policeman, Manningham. Have me turned out. Huh? Why do you wait?
Alternatively, sir, I can turn you out myself.
Yes, but why not fetch a policeman?
You give me the impression, sir, of having something up your sleeve. Will you please go on with what you were saying?
Yes, certainly. Where was I? Yes. Excuse me, Manningham. You get the same impression as myself?
Impression? What impression?
An impression that the light is going down in this room.
I had not noticed it.
Oh, there now. Perhaps it's more noticeable. Do you perceive it, Mr. Manningham? Eerie, isn't it? Now we're almost in the dark. What do you think's happened, huh? You don't suppose a light has been put on somewhere else? You don't suppose there are other spirits, fellow spirits of mine, spirits of justice even, which have caught up with you at last, Mr. Manningham?
Are you off your head, sir?
No, sir, just an old man seeing ghosts. Must be the atmosphere of this house. You know one ghost I can see, Mr. Manningham? You could hardly believe it.
What ghost do you see, please?
I see the ghost of an old woman, sir. An old woman who once lived in this house. An old woman getting ready to go to bed at the end of the day. Now I seem to see another ghost as well. I see the ghost of a young man, Mr. Manningham. A handsome, tall, well-groomed young man. But this young man has murder in his eyes. Why, bless my soul. He might be you, Mr. Manningham. He might be you. The old woman sees him. She screams for help, screams before her throat is cut open with a knife.
What's your game, eh? What's your game?
I want you to take a look at this trinket, sir. Do you recognize it?
It's a brooch which I gave my wife.
A brooch which she didn't appreciate, huh? How wicked of her. But then, you see, she didn't know its value. How was she to know that it held the Barlow rubies?
Oh, what?
There you are, sir. You killed one woman for these, and you tried to drive another out of her mind. And all the time they lay on your own desk. And all they have brought you is a rope around your neck, Mr. Sidney Power.
You seem, sir, to have some very remarkable information. Do you imagine that you are going to leave this room with such information in your possession?
Do you imagine, sir, that you were going to leave this room without suitable escort?
May I ask what you mean by that?
Only I've men in the house already. Didn't you realize they had signaled their arrival from above? Your own way in, Mr. Manningham, when the lights went down?
You fail to intimidate me, sir. I do not believe you.
Then perhaps you'll be convinced if you will open the doorway to the hall. You will find 2 policemen there.
What the devil's this?
Take him, gentlemen.
Here you go. Leave go of me. Leave go of me. Here's a fine way of going on. Here's
the bell cord here. Tied with him.
Go of me.
Sidney Charles Power, I have a warrant for your arrest for the murder of Alice Barlow. I should warn you that anything you may now say will be taken down in writing and used as evidence at a later date. Now, will you accompany us to the station in a peaceful manner? You will oblige us all and serve your own interests best by coming quietly. Very well, take him away.
Inspector off.
Yes, my dear?
Inspector.
Yes?
I want to speak to my husband.
Surely there's nothing to be...
I want to speak to him alone.
Alone?
I beg of you to allow me. I shan't keep him long.
Well, I don't quite understand, but... All right, very well. You may speak to him alone. Make him fast in this chair. It's anything but in order, but, well, we'll wait outside.
I do not want you to listen.
No, we will not listen. All right, gentlemen, outside.
Jack. Jack, what have they done to you? What have they done?
It's all right, Bella. You're clever, my darling, terribly clever. Now, get something to cut this rope. I can get out through the dressing room window and make a jump for it. Can you get something, Bella?
Yes, I can get something. What can I get?
There's a razor in my dressing room, Bella. Will you get it for me? Quick, Bella.
A razor?
Quick, be a good girl. There's a good girl. Quick,
I'll get it for you.
Quick, be quick. Hurry, Bella, hurry.
I got it.
Yes.
It is.
Yes. Open the case, Bella. Open it and cut me loose.
Jack.
Yes.
There's a grocery bill. The grocery bill was in your razor case. You see, dear, I didn't lose it. I told you I didn't.
Cut me loose, Bella.
But, Jack, how did this bill get in there?
I was mistaken about the grocery bill, Bella. Use that razor quick.
What razor? Razor? Are you suggesting this is a razor I hold in my hand? Have you gone mad, my husband?
Bella, what are you up to?
Or is it I who am mad? Yes, of course, that's it. It's I who am mad. Of course, it was a razor. I've lost it. I've lost it, haven't I?
No, the razor's lying at your feet, Bella. Bring it
I'm
here.
always losing things. I can never find them. I don't know where I put them.
Bella.
I must look for it, mustn't I? I don't find it. You lock me in my room.
No.
Lock me in the madhouse for my mischief. No. Where could it be now? Could it be behind the picture?
No.
It must be there.
No.
No, it's not there. How strange. And where now shall I look? Where shall I... The desk. Perhaps I put it in the desk. No. It's not there. How strange. But here's a watch. Here's a bill. See, I found them at last. But they don't help you, do they? I'm trying to help you, aren't I? To help you to escape. How can a mad woman help her husband to escape? What a pity. If I were not mad, I could have helped you. If I were not mad, whatever you had done, I could have pitied and protected you. But because I'm mad, I've hated you. Because I'm mad, I've betrayed you. Because I'm mad, I'm rejoicing in my heart. Without a shred of pity, without a shred of regret. Watching you go with glory in my heart.
Bella! Bella! Bella!
Take this man away. Take him away. All right, gentlemen. Here, remove him. Elizabeth, quick. Glass of water, Miss Manningham. There, my dear. Now, come. Sit down. You had a bad time. I came in from nowhere and gave you the most horrible evening of your life. The most horrible evening of anybody's life, I should imagine.
Most horrible. No, the most wonderful. Far and away the most wonderful.
You have just heard the Best Plays production of Angel Street by John Patrick, starring Vincent Price, Judith Evelyn, and Melville Cooper, with Elizabeth Eustace and Marjorie Maud. And here is your host, drama critic John Chapman, with a closing word.
Good old Sergeant Ruff. Mrs. Manningham certainly wasn't a lucky woman, wasn't she? I'd like to thank Miss Evelyn, Mr. Price, and Mr. Cooper for an exciting performance. Next Sunday, the best play of this series will be The Hasty Heart by John Patrick. And this will be another change of pace for us. It is an interesting work, basically a comedy, but with an undertone of compelling sentiment. It's about a wounded soldier and a nurse who brings this boy to a new enjoyment of life. Ann Burr played the nurse in the original production of this best play, and she will act it again next Sunday. John Sylvester will be the young soldier. This is Chapman saying goodbye until then.
Angel Street was adapted for radio by Earl Hamner. Vincent Price was Mr. Manningham, and Judith Evelyn was Mrs. Manningham. Melville Cooper was Sergeant Ruff. Elizabeth was played by Marjorie Maud, and Nancy by Elizabeth Eustace. Best Plays is an NBC production supervised by William Welch and directed by Edward King. Your announcer is Howard Reed. Can you stop your car in time? Ask yourself that question the next time you're on the highway. If the car in front of you should jam on his brakes to avoid a stray dog, if a child should dash across an intersection, if a tire should blow out, could you stop in time to save a life?
Wheaties presents Dimension X. Adventures in time and space. Transcribed in future tense. Dimension X. On stage tonight, Dimension X. Another in the Wheaties big parade of exciting half-hour presentations.
Say, tomorrow's Saturday, you know, and maybe you don't have to show up for work. A whole swell summer day for just what you want to do. So start off with a big holiday bowl of Wheaties at breakfast and just see how it sparks up the morning. Wheaties are whole wheat, you know, and I don't have to tell you what good, sturdy nourishment that is. So if you got fish to catch or golf to play or maybe a hike to take, just see how Wheaties can make it all a lot more fun. You know why? Why, lady, mister, it's just because you feel good when you've had your Wheaties. Those two-fisted little whole wheat flakes are loaded with vitamins and minerals. And so are you when you've had your Wheaties. Go on, try 'em. Just you see how Wheaties at 7 can help at 11.
When the first space rocket lands on Mars, what will we find? Will we be welcomed with open arms, or will the Martians treat us as invaders?
Only one thing is certain. Someday a giant metal ship will take off from Earth to travel through the black velocities, the silent gulfs of space, to descend at last into the darkness of the upper Martian atmospheres. And on that day, man will finally know the answers. The day we first land on Mars.
Now hear this. Now hear this. Approaching critical deceleration. Fasten gravity suits. Stand by to land.
Mr. Lustig, what do you make of the terrain?
There seems to be a heavy ground, Miss Captain. We won't be able to use our infrared lights.
And we'll have to come in on radar.
Isn't that a little risky, sir, landing in the dark?
I'd rather run the danger of a blind landing, Lieutenant, than come in without the cover of darkness. Remember, we don't know what kind of reception is waiting for us down there.
Airspeed 500. Altitude now 4,000.
Bridge to engine room. Stand by for deceleration.
Engine room, aye.
Fire forward tubes 1 and 3.
Aye.
Skids down.
Skids, check.
Altitude 500. 4. 350. 3.
Up a point now. All right. Let's set her down. Look out! Cut the power. Master's pipe battle stations.
Aye, sir.
All secured, sir.
Well, we're on Mars. April 20th, 1987. 4:33 Greenwich time. Enter that in the log, Masters.
Aye, sir.
Well, gentlemen, it's less than 2 hours till dawn. As soon as it's light, we'll send out a landing party. Masters, get me an all-over hookup.
All set, Captain.
Now hear this. Now hear this. All right, men. The smoking lamp is lit. We're 17 men on an alien world. And it's up to us whether we ever get home again. Next few hours should tell the story. And I want instant obedience to all commands. I'll court-martial the first man who doesn't jump to when he's ordered. And one other thing. We may be on Mars, but this is still a United States naval vessel. Officers will conduct a personal and weapons inspection in 1 hour. That's all.
Inspection, Captain. Now?
Mr. Lustig, we've got an hour and a half to sweat out before we find out what's outside that airlock. I'd rather have a man worried about his stripes than about what's waiting outside on Mars.
Now hear this. Landing party report to forward airlock. Captain Black, Lieutenant Hingston, Lieutenant Lustig, and Dr. Horst report immediately to forward airlock. It is now landing time -5.
Sounds like they're paging us, Hingston. You ready, Dr. Horst?
Yes. Ready as I will ever be.
Oh, come on. Let's report to the airlock.
4 minutes to go. Hey, where's the captain?
Who knows? What difference does it make?
Just want to get it over with, that's all. Has anybody got a cigarette?
I think you're smoking too much, Lieutenant Lustig. Are you nervous?
Lay off, will you, Horst?
Wondering what's hidden outside underneath that ground mist? Very unusual planet, Mars.
Why?
It has an atmosphere. Wonderful thing, an atmosphere. Where you find one, you find life.
You mean Martians?
What do you think they'll look like?
Who knows? Intelligent life can take many forms.
You mean they may have green skins and eyes on stalks or something?
The comic book conception is possible. Or they may have developed to a point that is far beyond us. Perhaps they have a science that can produce weapons far more dangerous than our atomic missiles.
You think we may have to fight our way out?
After all, we are invaders.
Now hear this. Landing time -2. Landing
All
time
right.
-2.
We heard this. I know what I'd like to find outside that airlock. Good old Illinois. You ever been there, Lustig?
Only Chicago.
Well, you ought to see my hometown. Green lawns, big white houses.
Sounds like my hometown.
My grandmother used to have one of those iron deers on the lawn. Every Halloween, we'd paint it another color. One time, we painted it black and white like a Holstein cow.
Where does your family live, Horst?
I have no family. When I was a child, they were gassed to death in the Dachau concentration camp.
That's tough.
Oh, it has its advantages. I have no ties on Earth. Nothing to lose now. I imagine I'm the only one on board who is free to enjoy our present peculiar position.
All right, Lustig. You can button it up now.
Aye, sir.
Now, gentlemen, in 1 minute we'll be the first men to set foot on Mars. Quite an honor, eh?
As long as the medals are not awarded posthumously.
Still uneasy, Dr. Horst?
Captain Black, I've been uneasy ever since I can remember. On Earth and on Mars.
Now, 30 seconds. Give me the intercom phone, Lustig. Masters?
Aye, sir.
Battle stations to be manned till we return. If we're not back in 2 hours, I want no rescue party sent out. Blast off and save the ship, you understand?
Aye, sir.
All right, gentlemen. 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1. Lustig, open the outer airlock.
Fresh air.
Let's go. Hold it now. It's too dark to move fast.
Quiet, isn't it? Not even a wind.
You can't see anything through this ground mist.
Quiet. We don't know what's out here. Come on.
What the? Quiet! Captain. I could swear that sounded like a rooster.
I don't hear it anymore.
A very unlikely sound. A rooster crowing on Mars?
Kingston.
Aye, sir.
Set that machine gun 25 yards to the flank. We'll stay here till the ground mist lifts.
Aye, sir.
What do you make of the ground, Horst?
Grass. Plain grass. You could see some large foliage there where the mists thinned out.
What the heck is that?
Kingston! Hold your fire, you fool!
I hit it, Captain. What? Some kind of wild animal. I hit it. I could see the tracers, but it's still standing.
Come on, Horst. Doctor, where are you?
Up ahead. Admiring the wild animal.
Careful, Horst. Wait for us.
Don't worry, Captain.
Huh. It's an iron deer. A lawn ornament.
That's impossible.
It's hollow. Interesting, isn't it? A whitewashed Victorian iron deer sitting on a lawn in the middle of Mars.
I don't understand.
Look around. The mist's lifting.
Captain, look there. A house, a regular old-fashioned house. On Mars.
Good Lord. I haven't seen carved scrolls and gingerbread like that in years. Look at that port swing. The geraniums.
There. I told you it was a rooster, Captain.
Give me the glasses, Lustig. I want to take a look through that front window. What? There's an upright piano. Some sheet music on it. Lustig, it's beautiful Ohio.
Beautiful Ohio? That can't be.
Look here, Horst. Do you think that civilizations of two planets could be identical?
I don't know. That specific variety of geraniums is only 50 years old on Earth.
Is it logical they should develop in Mars? How about that port swing, that piano, and beautiful Ohio? No, it's impossible.
Captain Black, this looks like the town I was born in.
Well, it looks like my hometown, too.
I've thought of something, sir. It's the only solution. Maybe we're not the first ship to reach Mars from Earth. That's the only answer.
That's impossible, Lustig. If there'd been space travel, it couldn't be secret. Do you have any idea what ships cost, what industrial power is needed? There's got to be some logical reason.
Captain, I think perhaps we might find out. A light just went on in that house.
Kingston, cover that door with the machine gun.
Aye, sir.
Come on, Horst. You ring that doorbell. There's got to be a scientific answer to all this.
There's something moving in there.
Stand back, Horst. Give me a clear shot. Maybe a Martian.
Can I help you?
We were looking...
Well, if you're selling anything, it's much too early.
No, wait a minute. What town is this?
What do you mean? Are you census takers?
No, we're strangers here. We want to know how this town got here.
Is this a game?
No, it's not a game. We're from Earth.
From where?
From Earth.
Do you mean out of the ground? Hey, are you sure you're feeling well?
Madam, we came in a flying ship across space. We're from the third planet. This is Mars. Now do you understand? Mars.
You go away now, you hear? I'll call my husband from upstairs and he'll chase you. Now go on.
This is Mars, isn't it?
This is Green Lake, Wisconsin, in the United States of America. Bounded on the east by the Atlantic and on the west by the Pacific. Now, go away. Goodbye.
Of course, do you suppose it's really possible? I've got to find out more about this.
For the last time now, go away.
Pardon me, madam. What year is this?
Year? Well, 1928, of course. Oh, for goodness sake.
You hear that, Horst? And we know it's 1987. And we know it's Mars. Is it possible that we got fouled up, made some tremendous blunder, and circled around and landed back on Earth?
In 1928?
Well, maybe some switch in time or dimension. Could we have shifted somehow and gone backward in time? Horst, it won't hold water. It's not logical. We've checked every mile. We went past the moon and out into space. We're on Mars.
Find out anything, Captain?
No, we're going back to the ship till I figure out some logical explanation for all this. Lustig, out at point.
Aye, sir.
Hingston in the rear. Keep that gun at half load.
Aye, sir.
Horst, there's got to be some cold, logical solution.
Captain.
What?
That house down the street. The white one with the green shutters.
Lustig, what's the matter?
I never thought. Thank God. Thank God.
Lustig, come back here.
He's running for that house.
That crazy fool, after him quick.
Lustig, stop.
Come down off of that porch.
Grandpa! Grandpa!
Lustig, what the devil do you think you're trying?
Grandma and Grandpa, it is you.
Lustig, what's going on here?
Albert, why, it's been so many years.
How you've grown, boy.
Oh, it's so good to see you.
Lieutenant Lustig.
Oh, Captain. Grandma, I want you to meet my friend. This is Captain Black. Captain, I want you to meet my grandfolks.
Howdy. Any friends of Albert's is friends of ours.
How long you been here, Grandma?
Oh, good many years. Ever since we died.
Ever since you what?
Oh, yes, sir. They've been dead 30 years.
What? You mean to tell me that Mars is heaven?
Oh, nonsense, no. All we know is here we're alive again. And who are we to question God's infinite ways?
Hi. Lustig, we're going back to the ship.
But, Captain, I want to talk to my
Lieutenant
grandfolks.
Lustig, I don't like any part of this. You come back with us, I have to club you and carry you.
Yeah, but, sir,
That's
they're
enough.
my...
Heaven only knows what they've run up against back of the ship.
Dimension X will continue in just a moment.
Well, now let's come back to Earth for a moment. And what's more appropriate than Wheaties and baseball? You'll see what I mean as I introduce Ed Prentice, who has a special treat for you. Carry on, Mr. Prentice.
Folks, I'd like to have you meet a good friend of mine and a prominent member of a fine little organization known as the Chicago White Sox, Mr. Lucius Benjamin Affleck.
Ooh, Ed, don't say it like that. Whoever heard of a ball player named Lucius? What if I went around calling you Paul Edward Prentice? Let's just make it Ed and Luke, huh?
All right, Luke. Say, just how long have you been with the White Sox?
Over 20 years, Ed. Golly, I played in darn near 2,500 games. Been at bat almost 9,000 times. Man, I'm from way back.
Well, Luke, you don't look it. How do you keep up the pace, anyway?
Well, Ed, I sleep good. I eat good. I eat mighty good. Wheaties about 4 mornings a week. Those little old flakes put a lot of snap, even in an old-timer like me. Must be because they're 100% whole wheat. I sure like Wheaties and milk and fruit.
You know, Luke, that's exactly what I hear from a lot of ball players and plenty of other people, too. No wonder they call Wheaties the breakfast of champions.
Well, thanks, Luke Appling and Ed Prentice. You know, folks, you may not be a champion ball player, but Wheaties can help you feel like one. So try 'em. Wheaties, that is. See how Wheaties at 7 can help at 11.
Horst, look at that crowd around the ship.
Looks like we're being welcomed with a celebration, Captain.
Celebration? They've abandoned ship. Every port is open. No guard set. You, Masters.
Hiya, Captain. Meet my old dad. Dad, that's Captain Black, and he's not a bad guy for an officer.
Of all the... Hingston!
What, sir?
Bring that man back. Use force if you have to.
Excuse me, sir. There's my Uncle George.
Hingston!
I'll be right back, Captain. Uncle George! Uncle George!
What the devil
Don't
is
you
going...
understand, sir? They've all found friends and relatives. They're all here.
He's right, Captain.
I've counted. The whole crew's out on the crop.
But I gave orders. Definite orders.
You don't understand, Captain.
I understand mutiny. I don't care how many relatives show up. I'll have discipline on...
Johnny! Johnny, you old son of a gun.
Edward! It's you. It can't be.
Of course it is. Johnny, you old son of a gun.
Edward. Dr. Horst, this is my brother, Edward.
How do you do? Hello.
It's wonderful to see you, Edward. Look, I've got to get back to my ship.
Hey, I almost forgot. Mom's waiting at home.
Mom?
And Dad, too.
Mom, Dad are alive? Excuse me, Horst. Then you're real, then.
Don't I feel real? How's that, huh?
Ed,
hey, we've got lunch for you, Johnny. Mom's making corn fritters.
Dr. Horst, haven't you found anybody?
No, Captain. I have nobody.
Then you come on home with me, right, Ed?
Sure, you bet.
Horst, you wouldn't believe it, but it's been 35 years since I had Mom's corn fritters. By George. 35 years.
And there's plenty more in the kitchen, so don't hold back, Johnny. You too, Dr. Horst.
Well, Johnny, you're still in the Navy, huh?
That's right, Dad. I'm in command of the ship.
We're an old Navy family, Dr. Horst. All three of our boys in the service.
Ed was the best pilot in the Pacific. What did happen, Ed?
Oh, what's the difference? I'm here now.
Oh, you know, it's almost perfect. All we're missing is your brother Will. Then the whole family could be together.
Well, it won't be long, Mom. Will's in charge of the XR-54. That's the next rocket coming out to Mars.
Well, little Will. When does he leave, Johnny?
Takeoff scheduled for September, but it depends on what we report. There's no question about that now, eh? Christmas together again. That'll be something, huh?
Yes, sirree. Well, this calls for a celebration. How about a little of the old dandelion wine, eh, Johnny?
Now, Father, don't you go giving Johnny too much wine.
Oh, he's a big boy now, Mother. Well, sir, isn't everything just fine? Just fine.
The candlelights are gleaming on the banks of the Wabash, far away.
Hey, we have play another song.
Sure, what do you have?
Well, Dr. Horst, what do you think of my little family,
Very nice.
You know, I can't understand why you didn't find any folks here, Dr. Horst. It's just a shame. Everybody else is so happy.
I never remembered my family, Mrs. Black. All I know is they were gassed at Dachau during the Second World War. When I was liberated, I was in a delirium 3 months. I cannot remember anything before then. A psychiatric phenomenon.
That's terrible. Isn't there anything anybody can do?
I don't want to remember.
Oh.
I haven't had a pleasant life. I prefer to be free of emotional entanglements. They interfere with a scientific approach.
I'm sorry, Dr. Horst.
Oh, I'll get it. Hey, that's our ring, long and 3 shorts. I remember that.
Well, maybe we'd better call it a night. You must be getting tired, Johnny.
I'd better be going back to the ship.
Oh, nonsense. You stay the night. We insist.
Oh, I just couldn't rest thinking of you all alone on that ship.
Oh, I'll be all right. Well, good night.
Oh, wait a minute, Dr. Horst. That phone message was for you.
Me?
Yeah, that's right. A message from Anna.
Anna? I don't remember any Anna.
She asked if you were better.
Perhaps she's someone you knew at Dachau.
She said she's coming over here first thing in the morning. So you'll have to stay over.
Yes,
Well, that
but...
settles it then. You stay here, Horst. You can bunk with me in my old room.
Oh, but Johnny, we thought you'd like to be with Edward.
So you could talk the way you used to.
Well, we can't put Dr. Horst on the daybed. I think we better share the room tonight. There'll be plenty of time for talking, Ed.
I guess so.
Well, I suppose I better drop back to the ship. You know, Ed, security check.
Well, why do you have to do that here?
Well, I don't know. There's no good reason, I guess. Well, suppose we skip it tonight.
Oh, sure.
Well, good night, everybody.
Oh, it's good to have you home, Johnny.
It's good to be home, Mom.
Captain Black, are you asleep?
No. I've just been thinking about what we were expecting. Green-skinned Martians with eyes on stalks. All the time there was only Mom and Dad and Edward waiting. It's funny what tricks your imagination can play on you. Yeah, I guess Mars is heaven, Horst.
I've been thinking about Martians, too. Captain, just suppose there were Martians, and they saw us land. Suppose they thought of us as invaders. What would be the best weapon they could use against our atom bombs?
I don't see what you're getting at.
They would want to disarm us first, to wipe out all suspicion, to make us feel at home. But suppose this house isn't real. Suppose the people are just images, stolen from our own memories by Martians, created for us by telepathy, hypnotism.
That's the craziest theory I ever heard.
Maybe that's why there was no one for me. Because in all my life, there is no happy memory, no real loved person.
How about that phone call from Anna?
Yes, Anna. I didn't remember who she was, but I do now. I just remembered. When I was freed from Dachau, sick, delirious, I raved about a wonderful, kind nurse named Anna that took care of me.
There you are. It's logical. She's coming to see you tomorrow.
But there was no Anna. I'd been nursed by a man.
What?
Anna was only a dream. And there's only one way they could have learned about her. By reading my subconscious mind.
But that's impossible, Horst.
Why? The whole crew was thinking of home. Suppose the Martians read our minds.
Yes, but if there are Martians...
If there are, they have us separated. Each man in a different house. Sleeping. Trusting. No one at the guns.
I left my pistol downstairs. Do you think there's something to this, Horst?
It's a... Who would suspect his own mother? His grandparents? How easy. Just a knife in the heart of each sleeping man.
That's impossible, Horst. We've got to get back to the ship.
Listen. The crickets have stopped.
Come on.
We don't know when they change back to. Whatever they really are.
Where are you going, John?
Ed, well, we wanted to drink of water. That's all, Ed.
You're not thirsty, John. You don't want to drink. You don't want
Look out!
to drink.
His face, it's changing! And his hands, he's a Martian! Run, Horst! Run!
Get away, John. You can't get away.
This way, Horst! Horst, where are you?
Hello, can you hear me, Earth? This is Captain John Black, the XR-53, calling from Mars. I've locked myself in the ship, but they've crippled it. I can't take off or fire the guns, and they're coming for me now, the Martians. I'm all alone here. All the rest are dead. Hinkston, Lustig, Dr. Horst. Poor Horst, he didn't even reach the door. Listen, they're trying to break through the hull now. Edward and Mom and Dad and all the folks.
but they're changing now. Melting and changing back into... They're Martians. Can you understand me? Martians, not men. They made us think that Mars was heaven, and we fell into the trap. Can you hear me, Earth? You've got to stop the next rocket. Tell my brother Will. Tell my brother Will not to come. They'll trap him, too. They'll kill them all. Hello! Hello! Can you hear me, Earth? This is John Black on Mars. Hello, Earth. This is John Black on Mars.
Tonight, Dimension X has presented and transcribed the Ray Bradbury story, Mars is Heaven, adapted for radio by Ernest Kenoy. Featured players were Wendell Holmes as Captain Black and Peter Capell as Dr. Horst. Your narrator, Norman Rose. Music by Albert Berman, engineer Bill Chambers. Dimension X is produced by Van Woodward and directed by Edward King. Robert Warren speaking. In a moment, we'll tell you about next week's show. And now, here is your Wheaties man, Frank Martin.
Folks, tonight we have a special guest for you. Here he is, Joel McRae.
Hello, Frank Martin. I kind of expected to see a package of Wheaties sticking out of your pocket.
What? Did I forget him?
You must like Wheaties, Frank.
Sure, don't you?
You bet. I'm joining the big parade of Wheaties programs, you know, with Tales of the Texas Rangers come Saturday night.
That promises to be real entertainment, Joel. I understand these are true stories of the Texas Rangers.
Absolutely. Each story is straight from the Texas Ranger files.
Well, we're mighty proud to have you join us, Joel, with this new program. We'll all be listening on the same NBC station Saturday night for Joel McRae in Tales of the Texas Rangers. Okay, Mr. McRae?
Okay, partner. Good night.
Good night, Joel. And friends, be sure to listen Saturday, that's tomorrow night, to Joel McRae and his new program, Tales of the Texas Rangers. And get your Wheaties, everybody. And this is the Wheaties man, Frank Martin, inviting you again to listen tomorrow night to Joel McRae in Tales of the Texas Rangers on the Wheaties Big Parade. See you then.
Next week, the story of the strangest case ever recorded in the files of the Bureau of Missing Persons. The case of the Man in the Moon. You'll hear the whole story next week when we venture once more into the unknown world of...
Dimension X.
This is NBC, the National Broadcasting Company.
Adventures in time and space, told in future tense. Dimension X. The mind of man is still an unprobed field. Within it lie many mysteries still unsolved. But there are men today, psychologists now experimenting with telepathy, hypnosis, thought transference, who believe that in the future we may discover the existence of a force of the mind more powerful than any force the world has ever known. We go ahead now in time some 10 years, and in space to the campus of a small eastern college. The hour is late, and in one of the dark college buildings, two men stand in front of a door that bears the name Professor Arthur Barnhouse, Psychology.
Well, here you are, Clinton.
Thank you, Major.
Here are the keys to the professor's desk and files. I guess you inherit everything now. You might as well dictate a full report while everything's still fresh in your mind. I'll wait and see you home.
Oh, no, that isn't necessary. I'll be all right.
You sure? After what's happened tonight, we wouldn't want you to have an accident, too.
Major, after what happened tonight, I have a hunch the whole world is ripe for an accident.
I'm afraid you're right, Clinton. Well, good night.
Good night. Pull yourself together, Buster. Easy does it. August 21st, 1960. Restricted report from George Clinton to the Secretary of Defense, Secretary of State, the FBI, National Security Board, etc., etc., etc. Subject, the so-called Barnhouse effect, and Professor Arthur Barnhouse, who discovered it. I first met the professor 2 years ago in the fall of 1958. He was a professor of psychology here at Wilton College, and I was here on an instructor's fellowship in the psych department. They assigned me to be Barnhouse's assistant, and he needed one. He hardly ever remembered to go to a class, and he didn't seem to do anything else either. For 3 months, I watched him sitting at the desk here in his study. He'd either stare at nothing for hours or fall asleep, nodding over his mess of papers. I couldn't understand it, and it was none of my business. But one day, I thought I'd better give him a shake.
What? What?
I said it's 2:15, Professor. Don't you want to go to your 2 o'clock class?
Don't you want to mind your own business?
I beg your pardon.
Sorry, Clinton. Forgive me. I don't know what gets into me. Forget the class. The kids would rather be outdoors anyway.
Okay, Professor. In that case, I'm sorry I woke you up.
It's all right. I just can't seem to get my sleeping done at night. Clinton, what do you know about the international situation?
Well, I'm no political scientist, if that's what you mean. I read the papers when I have time.
Well, that's the way I've always been. Lately, I've had to look into it. I stay up nights looking into it.
Professor, I don't want you to take this personally or anything, but... Well, sir, I wonder if you'd mind if I asked to be transferred.
You mean you'd rather work with somebody else in the department?
Oh, no, sir. No, sir, it's not that. I think maybe there's a chance for a psychologist to work on that government project.
Government project? Oh, yes, that army thing.
Yes, sir. They're trying to develop robot pilots for the new fighter rockets so they'll be expendable.
Oh, yes, yes. Something else designed to replace men.
Yes, sir. And you know, it's a funny thing. The robots work just like human brains. They get overworked or overloaded or something, and they have nervous breakdowns. Now, if I could only find out what drives those electronic brains crazy, why, I'd feel
Clinton,
that I would...
if you want to study a brain that's going crazy, never mind the robots. You can go to work on me.
What are you talking about, sir?
I don't know. I'm either crazy as a bedbug or a... Clinton, I wish you'd help me find out.
Are you serious, Professor?
I never was more serious in my life. I'm afraid I'm going out of my mind.
But why? What makes you think so?
This is what makes me think I'm crazy.
Those dice?
Clinton, do you know what the odds are against my rolling a 7?
Oh, about 5 or 6 to 1.
Watch. 7. Now, what are the odds against my rolling it again?
Twice in a row? Plenty. About 100 to 1, I'd say.
Watch.
Professor, you're hotter than a $2 pistol.
It's funny. That's what they said 8 years ago when I first discovered this.
Discovered what?
This force of the mind. I call it dynamo-psychism.
You mean you shove those dice around just by thinking about it?
People have always thought there could be a force of the mind. You know that. Fortunately or unfortunately, I've learned to control it.
Yeah? How did you happen to find out about this, Professor?
Well, it was about 10 years ago, back in 1948. I made the mistake of going to a psychologist's convention, and in order not to appear unsocial, I happened to find myself, for the first and only time in my life, in a dice game.
What happened?
I didn't have the faintest idea what was expected of me, and someone told me to roll 7s. So I did. 10 of them.
I'll bet you weren't asked back into that game.
That night, in my room, I realized that it simply couldn't have been an accident, Clinton. I tried to reconstruct the exact scene, the position of my body, and finally, the thoughts in my mind. And that was what did it. I remembered what had been my train of thought, and I proceeded to roll 7s, not 10 consecutive times, but 50.
Oh, brother, there it is again. Professor, can you do anything else? I mean, besides shove dice around?
You see that inkwell on my desk?
Sure.
Watch it. Don't take your eyes off it. If nothing happens, say so, and I shall go quietly, even happily, to the nearest sanitarium.
Okay, Professor, shoot. Hey, why, it just blew up.
Yes, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to splash ink on your suit.
That's okay, Professor. What was that funny noise?
Oh, that? The dynamo psychic waves are a little like ultra-high frequency waves. Sometimes, when I turn on the power, they create a kind of static.
Listen, Professor, how much power have you got? Could you blow up anything, well, big?
I could flatten the Great Wall of China.
Oh, you'll make the helio-oxygen bomb look sick.
That's what scares me, Clinton. The thought that maybe I could use this power to save the world. Clinton, you've got to help me.
Who, me? Professor, when it comes to international relations, I don't know from where. You'd better get in touch with the State Department.
State Department? Yes, they'd be the ones, wouldn't they? Well, you probably want to be getting home now. I'll see you to the door. I could use a breath of fresh air.
Okay, Professor. You better stop brooding about this. You get somebody else to do your worrying for you.
Yes, you're right. I have been brooding, wondering what to do. Just sitting and staring endlessly at that awful monstrosity across the way.
You mean the old bell tower?
Yes, I've gotten so I can't stand the sight of it anymore.
Professor, look, what... Oh, there's nothing left but a pile of rubble.
Oh, my, I didn't really mean to do that. Well, you see, Clinton, it's got to the point where my lightest whim is more dangerous than a blockbuster.
Professor, you get in and write that letter to the State Department right now. You packed too much of a wallet. Professor Barnhouse mailed his letter, and things happened fast. A long arm of the Army reached out, and within 5 days, the two of us were deposited in an old mansion in Virginia, surrounded with a barbed wire fence and 20 guards, and labeled top secret. As soon as they'd seen a couple of small demonstrations, they set up a big test of dynamo psychism, and the professor was a very important guy. You could see him getting more unhappy every day.
General Barker, I've got to talk to you.
Just a minute, Professor. We're cleaning up the last details in Operation Brainwave. We'll roll at 1400 hours tomorrow.
At 1400 what?
2 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. The robot-controlled fighter rockets will take off at exactly 1400 minus 10 and appear over the target at 1400. Watching from here over the video screen, you will then try to knock all 20 of them out of the sky. Think you can do it?
Of course I can do it.
Fine. And we're taking care of everything.
Everything, except that you neglected to ask me if I wanted to do it. I don't. This whole thing strikes me as childish and insanely expensive.
We'll decide about that.
But what's the good of it? I wouldn't mind acting as a defense weapon if it were necessary. But I can make all wars and armaments unnecessary. I could give every nation what it needs. I could move mountains, build roads, dig irrigation canals. I have a technique which costs nothing and can do immense good. You're spending millions to prove that it can do immense damage. It doesn't make sense.
You know something, General? He's right.
Of course I'm right. I want you to send me and Clinton back to Wilton College. Right away.
That's quite impossible, Professor. This operation has gone too far to be called off now.
Yes, but...
Even if we wanted to call it off. If your dynamo psychism really works, you're apt to be the key to our entire defense setup.
But listen...
You'll have to excuse me now. Major Cuthrell and I have to double-check the confidential list of the observers on this end. Have you got it, Major?
Yes, General. It's right here. Alberts, Barker, Bernstein, Carter, Clinton, Cuthrell, Holbrook, Lawrence, Stein, Williams.
Check. I guess that includes everybody of importance.
What about me?
What? Oh, that's taken for granted, Professor.
Thanks.
1400 hours. Will you be ready?
I'll be ready. And now, if someone will wind the restricted clock and put the confidential cat out, I'm going to bed.
45 seconds to go, Professor Barnhouse. Are you in good shape?
I'm all right, General.
Good. We can all take our places in front of the video screen now. You sit here, Professor, in the center. Major Cuthrell, will you turn on the video screen?
Right, General. Nothing yet. Just empty sky. Hold it. I hear him coming in.
There are 20 of them, Professor. You think you can knock them down at this altitude?
Distance has nothing to do with it.
I don't want anything to go wrong. You're sure you feel all right?
General, I know I can do it. If that's all that's worrying you, let's call the whole thing off and save $20 million.
There they are. They're coming in.
Get ready, Professor. 10 seconds. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Now, wide open, Professor. Well, go ahead, Barnhouse. Knock them down.
I did.
Nonsense. All you've done is blank out the video screen. What went wrong? Did you give it everything you had?
I was wide open, General.
Then it didn't work. They're still flying. What's that?
It just took a few seconds to work. That's
Holy smoke, they're dropping like flies.
McKinley, the brainwave control. Listen to these rockets are going down like flames.
By heaven, it works. It really works. Cutwell, get Washington on the line. Barnhouse, I want you to... Hey, where's Barnhouse? Cleveland, where's the professor?
Got me, General. We were all staring at the video. He must have walked out.
Get moving, everybody. Alert the guards. Search the house. If anything happens to that man...
What is it, Corporal? Corporal Gray guard at the main gate. Sir, Professor Barnhouse is gone.
Gone? Where?
He came carrying out of the gate at 40 miles an hour. Here's a note, sir. Threw it out of the car as he went by. I picked it up.
Let me see it, quick. What got into that man?
What does he say, General?
Gentlemen, as the first superweapon with a conscience, I'm removing myself from your national defense stockpile. Setting a new precedent in the behavior of ordnance, I have humane reasons for going off. Signed, Arthur Barnhouse.
Barnhouse was gone, and within 12 hours the world was on a spree. The headlines were glorious or terrible, depending on what you think of the things the way they are.
Barnhouse went to Helio Bomb Factory.
The dynamo psychic waves reached every corner of the world. In every country, every continent flashed the news of what was happening.
Hey, Barnhouse knocked out hidden atomic stockpile in Asia.
There was a new kind of war, the war of tattletales. Secret agents of every country hunted for the hidden armaments of their enemies, yelled about them in the newspapers, and immediately there'd be that warning burst of Barnhouse static, followed by...
Radio-controlled fleet blown up on secret maneuver.
The professor was out to make peace or bust, and nothing like him ever was. Look, Major Cutwell, I told the FBI and the Army everything I know weeks ago. I've answered questions till I'm blue in the face.
I didn't come here to ask questions, Clinton. I came to ask for your help.
My help?
That's right. Find Barnhouse.
What if I don't want to?
If you're his friend, I think you'd better.
Why pick on me? You've got the FBI, the police, and Army intelligence. Why can't you find him yourself?
We're trying. But you know the man well. You could spot him where we wouldn't. And you're the only one who can.
Maybe. But why should I? Wherever he is, I think he's doing fine. He's making war impossible, and I like it.
So do I.
Yes? He's putting you out of a job.
That's all right with me. I'll retire to a truck farm with pleasure.
Well, then?
Look, Clinton, we aren't the only ones in this race. Every country in the world has its best agents out hunting for Barnhouse. Nobody can beat that kind of a manhunt.
He seems to be doing all right so far.
Sure, but how long do you think he can keep it up? A week? A month? Sooner or later, he'll be spotted. And if the wrong people find him, Clinton, we're done for. You know what kind of weapon this is. Whoever controls the Barnhouse effect can control the world.
Well, all right. Suppose they do find him. He'd never give the secret away.
Never give it away? Are you out of your mind? You think these fellows are playing for marbles?
Well, no, but...
Read the papers, Clinton. Don't you know what's going on in the rest of the world?
Yes,
They'll get the secret out of Barnhouse, all right. What happens to him in the process won't be very pretty.
Well, he He must realize that, then. He'll never let himself be taken alive.
He may not have the choice. And if he doesn't, God help us all.
All right. All right, I'm in.
Good. Now, do you know anything that you haven't told us? Anything that might give us a lead?
Only this. It was addressed to me. I found it here on his desk the morning after he escaped.
You mean he came back here?
Yes. I guess he needed to pick up some personal effects. Anyway, the files were open, and he left this note on the scrap of paper.
Anything to do with the Barnhouse effect?
Read it yourself. It's Greek to me. Just these few lines scrawled on a piece of paper, and the last one breaks off right in the middle of a sentence.
This stuff doesn't make any sense at all. You know, from the looks of this, I'm beginning to wonder if the professor isn't going off his rocker.
I thought of that, too.
All the more reason why we've got to get to him quick. He may be helpless, and the whole world's on his track. Come on, Clinton. We haven't much time.
Brother, it's hot. What a way to spend an August afternoon, huh, Major? Give my eye teeth to be at Jones Beach.
So would I, Corporal. We've got work to do here.
Look, sir, we've been cruising around these radio detection cars for a week. Not a sign of Barnhouse static. The professor must have run out of things to work on.
Well, we'll give him a little more time. Switch to shortwave. See if there's anything special coming through.
Yes.
Try the 9 millimeter.
Radio Miranda calling.
Let's hear that.
Our American enemies who have hidden behind the unjust and diabolical persecution by Professor Arthur Barnhouse will tyrannize us no more.
I wonder if the professor's out
Today,
there.
our glorious leader takes up his residence in a shelter, shielded with lead against all dynamo-psychic threats. With his protection designed by our brilliant scientists to be absolutely impregnable against the Barnhouse effect, he will once again lead us on the path of our glorious death.
Quick, triangulate it and get me a fix.
I've got it. Let me check this chart.
Quick, man.
3.9, 1.7. Oh, my aching back.
What is it?
We haven't got a prayer of finding a major. He'd have to be picked out of 2 million people.
Where is Barnhouse?
Right where I was wishing I was. Right smack in the middle of Jones Beach.
We're full. No more rooms tonight.
We don't want a room. Do you recognize this picture?
Who wants to know?
Uncle wants to know.
Oh, excuse me. I'm sorry. Let me see it. Yeah, it looks a lot like room 417.
About 5 feet 8, thin, sandy hair, glasses, little scar right across the bridge of his nose.
Yeah, it's 417, all right.
You mean he's here now?
No, not anymore. He checked out 2 days ago. But he couldn't have gone far.
What makes you say that?
Oh, he looked sick as a dog. Couldn't hardly carry his own bag out.
Uh-oh.
Like I said to the other fellas, I said he looked like he was on his way to the morgue.
What other fellas?
Oh, the ones this morning. You're the second pair that's been asking for him.
Here we are, Ward 15. This way, gentlemen.
You're sure he's here, nurse?
Oh, yes.
Thank heaven we're in time.
Well, I wasn't on duty when he came in, but one of the other girls told me he collapsed in the street. The ambulance brought him in.
Okay, he must have really had it rough.
Oh, here you are. Bed number 78. This is your man.
Wait a minute.
This isn't Barnhouse.
But I was perfectly sure. Oh, wait, let me check his chart. Dismissed 8 p.m.
Only an hour ago.
Oh, dear, now I remember.
Remember what? If he was sick, why did you let him go?
Well, 2 of his friends came and took him away. They didn't want him in the charity ward. They said they'd make sure that he was taken care of.
Every time I walk into this study, I keep hoping somehow I'll wake up out of a bad dream and find the professor just sitting here. Major, is there anything we haven't covered?
Nothing. The police, the FBI, the air patrols, the docks, the railroad stations, everything. Not even a flea could get through this dragnet. I hope.
Then I guess we sit.
We sit. Maybe something will come in.
You have to roll those dice. I'm sorry. I wasn't thinking.
An hour. That's what's driving me crazy. 1 hour sooner, and he'd have been in our hands, not theirs.
I know. Well, maybe he's still all right.
How can he be all right? He's in the hands of a foreign power.
We don't know that for sure. The professor was a likable little guy. He couldn't have lasted this long if he hadn't found some friends. Maybe they came and took him away.
Well, grab that.
Hello? Yes?
Clinton, is that you?
Professor Barnhouse.
Clinton, they've got me.
Who's got you? Where are you, Professor?
I don't know. They said something about taking me to an airport.
An airport? Which one?
Listen, Clinton, I've got to tell you. The inkwell.
What are you talking about?
Remember the inkwell?
Professor Barnhouse. Operator.
Your call, please.
Operator, that caller just came in here. Can you trace it?
I'm sorry, sir, but I'm afraid it's too late. Your party has been disconnected.
Where are we headed? He didn't say which airport, just a hunch.
The commercial airfields are all covered. But there's a little private field out here, I remember. Hasn't been used in years.
That'll be the one.
They didn't have too much of a start on us. Maybe we'll make it in time. Step on it, Corporal.
Wide open, Major.
How'd he sound? Did he say who had him?
No, all he got out was the airport and something about an
Major,
airport.
Mr. Clinton, there's a tail light up ahead. Must be another car going like the devil.
You're right, I see it. They're turning into the airfield. Come on, faster.
Hold everything.
Look up ahead. They're switching the floodlights on at the field. There's the plane down at the other end, all warmed up and ready to go.
We'll never make it on the road. Hang on, I'm going through the fence.
Right. Well, what's the matter? Get going.
Sorry, sir. Must have cracked the axle.
They're taking off. Get out the submachine gun.
You can't. Barnhouse is in that plane. You'll kill him.
We've got to take that chance.
That plane's headed straight for us. Hit the dirt.
Get that gun working, Corporal. Aim for the propeller.
Couldn't get him, Major.
Well, there goes the old ball game.
I'll get through to air patrol, sir. Maybe they can intercept the plane.
No, not a chance. By the time the fighters got off the ground, the plane would be out of range. No, we've lost, Barnhouse. And nothing can save us now. Hey, what?
What hit me?
Clinton, are you all right?
Yeah, sure. The plane. It's gone.
I know. Barnhouse blew it right out of the sky. He wouldn't let himself be taken alive.
Boy, he really did it the hard way.
Poor guy. He shouldn't have had to be a hero. All he ever wanted was peace.
Peace? What's that? Now the arms race will start all over again. And with Barnhouse gone, what's left to stop it?
So they brought me back here to the professor's old study to dictate this report. I'm sitting here at his desk, and it's just the way he left it. Papers all over, even his old pair of dice. Arthur Barnhouse is dead. That's going to be good news for some people when they find out. The saber rattlers of the world will be busy as of tomorrow morning, getting ready to whoop up another war. I'm afraid they're in for a little surprise. It's 3 a.m. now. And before morning comes, I intend to vanish, disappear completely. That's the last that anybody will ever see or hear of me directly. That's why I want to tell you now. I've been looking at the new inkwell here on the desk. The professor's last words were something about an inkwell. And in it I found a little scrap of paper. Just a few words, but they complete the note I showed the major. The note that didn't make any sense. The whole thing makes sense now. Professor Barnhouse may be dead. But you haven't heard the last of the Barnhouse effect. Not yet. I've been experimenting while I've been talking to you. And now the time has come for me to say goodbye. You see, I've just rolled my 50th consecutive 7.
You have just heard Report on the Barnhouse Effect by Kurt Vonnegut, Jr. An adventure in time, space, and the unknown. Dimension X.
Section 8 of G.K. Chesterton's newspaper columns, The New Witness, 1921. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Recording by Larry Wilson. G.K. Chesterton's newspaper columns, The New Witness, 1921, by G.K. Chesterton. At the sign of the world's end, the march to Main Street. There was a time when the progress of the city seemed to mock the decay of the country. It is more and more true, I think, today, that it is rather the decay of the cities that seem to poison the progress and promise of the countryside. The cinema boasts of being a substitute for the tavern, but I think it a very bad substitute. I think so, quite apart from the question about fermented liquor. Nobody enjoys cinema more than I, but to enjoy them a man has only to look and not even to listen. And in a tavern he has to talk. Occasionally, I admit, he has to fight, but he need never move with the movies. Thus, in the real village inn are the real village politics, while in the other are only the remote and unreal metropolitan politics. And those central city politics are not only cosmopolitan politics, but corrupt politics. They corrupt everything that they reach, and this is the real point about many perplexing questions. For instance, so far as I am concerned, it is the whole point about feminism and the factory. It is very largely the point about feminism and many other callings apparently more cultured than the factory, such as the law court and the political platform. When I see women so wildly anxious to tie themselves to all this machinery of the modern city, my first feeling is not indignation, but that dark and ominous sort of pity with which we should see a crowd rushing to embark in a leaking ship under a lowering storm. When I see wives and mothers going in for business government, I not only regard it as a bad business, but as a bankrupt business. It seems to me very much as if the peasant women, just before the French Revolution, had insisted on being made duchesses, or, as is quite as logical and likely, on being made dukes. It is as if those ragged women, instead of crying out for bread, had cried out for powder and patches. By the time they were wearing them, they would be the only people wearing them, for powder and patches soon went out of fashion. But bread does not go out of fashion. In the same way, if women desert the family for the factory, they may find they have only done it for a deserted factory. It would have been very unwise of the lower orders to claim all the privileges of the higher orders in the last days of the French monarchy. It would have been very laborious to learn the science of heraldry or the tables of precedence when all such things were at once most complicated and most moribund. It would be tiresome to be taught all those tricks just when the whole bag of tricks was coming to an end. A French satirist might have written a fine epilogue about Jacques Bonhomme coming up to Paris in his wooden shoes and demanding to be made gold-stick in waiting in the name of liberty, equality, and fraternity. But I fear the stick in waiting would be waiting still. One of the first topics on which I heard conversation turning in America was that of a very interesting book called Main Street, which involves many of these questions of the modern industrial and the eternal feminine. It is simply the story, or perhaps rather the study than the story, of a young married woman in one of the multitudinous little towns on the great central plains of America, and of a sort of struggle between her own more restless culture and the provincial prosperity of her neighbors. There are a number of true and telling suggestions in the book, but the one touch which I found tingling in the memory of many readers was the last sentence, in which the master of the house, with unshaken simplicity, merely asked for the whereabouts of some domestic implement. I think it was a screwdriver. It seems to me a harmless request, but from the way people talked about it, one might suppose he had asked for a screwdriver to screw down the wife in her coffin, and a great many advanced persons would tell us that the wooden house in which she lived really was like a wooden coffin. But this appears to me to be taking a somewhat funereal view of the life of humanity. For after all, on the face of it at any rate, this is merely the life of humanity, and even the life which all humanitarians have striven to give to humanity. Revolutionists have treated it not only as the normal, but even as the ideal. Revolutionary wars have been waged to establish this. Revolutionary heroes have fought, and revolutionary martyrs have died, only to build such a wooden house for such a worthy family. Men have taken the sword and perished by the sword in order that the poor gentleman might have liberty to look for his screwdriver. For there is here a fact about America that is almost entirely unknown in England. The English have not in the least realized the real strength of America. We in England hear a great deal. We hear far too much about the economic energy of industrial America, about the money of Mr. Morgan, or the machinery of Mr. Edison. We never realize that while we in England suffer from the same sort of success in capitalism and clockwork, we have not got what the Americans have got, something at least to balance it in the way of a free agriculture, a vast field of free farms dotted with small freeholders. For the reason I shall mention in a moment, they are not perhaps in the fullest and finest sense a peasantry, but they are in the practical and political sense a pure peasantry, in that their comparative equality is a true counterweight to the toppling injustice of the towns. And even in places like that described as Main Street, that comparative equality can immediately be felt. The men may be provincials, but they are certainly citizens. They consult on a common basis, and I repeat that in this, after all, they do achieve what many prophets and righteous men have died to achieve. This plain village, fairly prosperous, fairly equal, untaxed by tyrants, and untroubled by wars, is, after all, the place which reformers have regarded as their aim, when reformers have used their wits sufficiently to have any aim. The march to Utopia, the march to earthly paradise, the march to the New Jerusalem has been very largely the march to Main Street. And the latest modern sensation is a book written to show how wretched it is to live there. All this is true, and I think the lady might be more contented in her coffin, which is more comfortably furnished than most of the coffins where her fellow creatures live. Nevertheless, there is an answer to this, or at least modification of it. There is a case for the lady and a case against the gentleman and the screwdriver. And when we have noted what it really is, we have noted the real disadvantage in a situation like that of modern America, and especially the Middle West. And with that we come back to the truth with which I started this speculation, the truth that few have yet realized, but of which I, for one, am more and more convinced, that industrialism is spreading because it is decaying, that only the dust and ashes of its dissolution are choking up the growth of natural things everywhere, and turning the green world gray. In this relative agricultural equality, the Americans of the Middle West are far in advance of the English of the 20th century. It is not their fault if they are still some centuries behind the English of the Middle Ages. But the defect by which they fall short of being a true peasantry is that they do not produce their own spiritual food, in the same sense as their own material food. They do not, like some peasantries, create other kinds of culture besides the kind called agriculture. Their culture comes from the great cities, and that is where all the evil comes from. If a man had gone across England in the Middle Ages, or even across Europe in more recent times. He would have found a culture which showed its vitality by its variety. We know the adventures of the three brothers in the old fairy tales who passed across the endless plain from city to city and found one kingdom ruled by a wizard and another wasted by a dragon, one people living in castles of crystal and another sitting by fountains of wine. These are but legendary enlargements of the real adventures of a traveler passing from one patch of peasantry to another and finding women wearing strange headdresses and men singing new songs. A traveler in America would be somewhat surprised if he found the people in the city of St. Louis all wearing crowns and crusading armor in honor of their patron saint. He might even feel some faint surprise if he found all the citizens of Philadelphia clad in a composite costume combining that of a Quaker with that of a Red Indian, in honor of the noble treaty of William Penn. Yet these are the sort of local and traditional things that would really be found giving variety to the valleys of medieval Europe. I myself felt a perfectly genuine and generous exhilaration of freedom and fresh enterprise in new places like Oklahoma. But you would hardly find in Oklahoma what was found in Oberammergau. What goes to Oklahoma is not the peasant play, but the cinema. And the objection to the cinema is not so much that it goes to Oklahoma as that it does not come from Oklahoma. In other words, these people have on the economic side a much closer approach than we to economic freedom. It is not for us, who have allowed our land to be stolen by squires and then vulgarized by sham squires, to sneer at such colonists as merely crude and prosaic. They at least have really kept something of the simplicity and therefore the dignity of democracy, and that democracy may yet save their country even from the calamities of wealth and science. But while these farmers do not need to become industrial in order to become industrious, they do tend to become industrial insofar as they become intellectual. Their culture, and to some extent their creed, do come along the railroads from the great modern urban centers and bring with them a blast of death and a reek of rotting things. It is that influence that alone prevents the Middle West from progressing towards the Middle Ages. End of Section 8.